chyť si favorit tohoto závodu a start Bčka 800 mužů je připraven.
Good afternoon and welcome to Kladno in the Czech Republic for this World Athletics Continental Tour bronze meeting. And as you can see, the main programme is getting underway right now. So this is the men's 800 metre B race. The A race, of course, to follow with some top international athletes, as we'll have right the way through from the sprints to middle distance and also in the field. Some events have already happened earlier on today, including the start of this morning. And we'll try and catch you up on some of the results from those disciplines. You can also catch the schedule and results as they come through on the Czech Athletics website, online.atletica.cz. So in this B race, as we can see, we've got Radek Letosha, Thomas Volny, Matusz Pavlik, Adam Small, some of the top runners. Personal best ranging between 152 and 154. As they hit the bell there, 55.45. So mainly this an opportunity for some young Czech athletes to try and take advantage of being on this sort of stage. We are about 30 kilometers west of the Czech capital city of Prague. As we see Letosha fighting there at the front of this race. Suddenly, a bit of a push on in terms of pace. 1:24.52 at 600. And we see this four-way battle potentially for the victory in this B race. Stovacek at the front with Letosha. Five-way fight for this B race. Fantastic stuff. 1:53.99, the eventual winning time there. As we wait for this result to come up. And that time in particular would be a personal best for all but three athletes in the field. Letosha, who was hanging back initially, came through for the victory. He has personal bests over 400, 800 and 1500 metres already this year. Although it says season's best, he has run 1:52. Quite a big improvement. Hubner and Pavlas, their fastest ever times behind. So Hubner improving by 0.4 of a second on what he's run previous. And Pavlas, that's his first time sub 1:55 over 800 metres. Well, I mentioned we've also got quite a strong field event programme. And we're about to reintroduce the athletes who'll be taking part in the women's shot. And this is one of the strongest lineups. You can probably see the Sweden kit second to right. There's Fanny Roos. Full lineup bottom left of your screen. Quite a strong German theme as well, with Milan Amon and Katarina Maisch, European finalist in Munich on home soil. Yue Sun of China, the Spanish national record holder Maria Belén-Toimil, Alina Kenzel, another German alongside. Jessica Inchud. And Fanny Roos, just outside the medals at the European Championships in Munich. And Daniil Thomas Dodd, the Jamaican Commonwealth Games winner excuse me, and world silver medalist in Doha in 2019. Can't believe that is coming up to 5 years ago now. I guess a lot's happened since then, including 2 world championships. So, shot put will get going shortly. And I mentioned there were some events earlier on today. That included the men's javelin, one of the earlier field events. That was won by Andrian Mardari of Moldova with 81.97. He was the only athlete over 80 meters. We also had men and women's hammer as well. So Li Ji winning for China in the women's event with 70 meters 47 ahead of Katie Head of Great Britain 67.50, and Eva Rozanska of Poland 67.14. In the men's hammer, there was quite a decent personal best by about a metre for Jake Norris, a world under-20 champion in 2018, and he threw 77.37 in the third round, which is a qualifying mark for the European Championships in Rome. And the Czech athlete Volodymyr Myslivchuk was second in 76.69. We are looking at the women's high jump then. In the very early stages, by the way, looks like the bar is at 1 meter 70. And it's interesting, this time of year you kind of watch some of these streams or cover meetings and you think, oh, you were in Spain or Poland just the other day. These athletes out here on the circuit fairly early in the year looking to, well, get qualifying marks for Rome and also the Olympic Games. And especially as ranking points are available, try and keep up those scores as well if you can't hit the standard. Denisa Pesheva clearing at what we believe is this height of 170.
Teď ale budeme sledovat ještě 2 české závodnice na 170 cm. Nejprve to bude Eliška Truhlářová.
Kristina Ovchinnikova looks like from that graphic that she has already gone clear at this height. Quite a few athletes yet to enter the competition, and Klára Bazutova is already out with 3 failures at the opening height of 160. Onto the men's discus. So we appear to be in the 4th round now. Leading the way at this point is Victor Hogan, the South African, with 62.27, and Alessio Manucci in second, the Italian, on 61.36, and then Gudni Valogudnason of Iceland 12 centimeters behind him.
Vypadl Jakub Forejt, který za 54.13 se nedostal do finálové osmičky. Nastupuje
David Robel of Germany.
Zatím 59.67.
Third at the European Team Championships 3 years ago. Personal best of 67.30. You can see just shy of 60 meters there, and being measured now as we switch back to the high jump.
Těsně kolem 59, přesně 58.98 a teď Ola Stunes Isene z Norska.
So there's another failure there for Pesheva, one of the Czech athletes.
Vážení přátelé, atletika je sport číslo 1 této planety, je to královna sportu, ale občas i při ní přijdou chvilky, kdy nám zatrne. Já bych chtěl v této chvíli připomenout
So still the same top three, Hogan, Minucci, Goodnessson in this men's discus fourth round, and we have 4 athletes over 60 meters. We look at Ola Stunnes Isena of Norway. So the graphic showing what everyone has done so far in this round. Obviously that foul for Svozil isn't a personal best. That denotes the fact that at some point during the competition he's thrown further than ever before. That was in the second round, 57-24. So you're watching live coverage of this Kladno Hází athletics meeting in the Czech Republic, and it's a World Athletics Continental Tour bronze meeting being brought to you on European Athletics YouTube channel. And we have quite a good range of events, from sprints to middle distance, throws and jumps.
Členem Rady města Kladna a mužem, který šéfuje tento meeting, přichází na plochu 8násobná halová mistryně Evropy a světová rekordmanka v hale výkonem 22,50, paní Helena Fibingerová, která kladenskému meetingu Kladno hází a kladenské memoriály velice pomáhá. Předávám vám, Jirko, dolů na plochu slovo.
Po roce zase sešli, přeju vám příjemné zážitky a doufám, že za rok zase o tomto čase nebo trošku později se znovu potkáme. A mám to tady ráda, tak určitě zase přijedu a pomůžu.
Děkujem, Heluš.
Děkuji za vřelá slova Helence. My jsme velice rádi, že nás podporuje a každoročně s námi tady je a užívá si skvělou atletiku. Já bych chtěl popřát všem atletkám, atletům skvělé výkony, divákům zážitky, užijte si to, my si to určitě s vámi taky užijeme. Tímto dovolte, abych oficiálně zahájil dnešní meeting Kladno hází a kladenské memoriály.
Tak a ta kytice v náručí asistentky asi má svůj význam k tomu, že se přestěhuje do náruče Heleny Fibingerové, do náruče, která pořád má příjemné atletické rozměry. A ještě je tady jedna slavnostní chvilka, protože Jirka Klesněl jako šéf atletiky na Kladně teď poděkuje dlouholetým spolupracovníkům, a to trenérce Evě Voňavkové, a dále dlouholetému členovi místního klubu k životnímu jubileu Vladimíru Kroužilovi. Tak a tímhletím slavnostním okamžikem je opravdu, jak Jiří Klesněl oznámil, co by ředitel závodu,
a nebo alespoň předvést kvalitní výkony, které pomohou atletům posunout se v žebříčku, v rankingu zase o trošičku výš.
Já jsem ráda, že se hlavně lepší počasí, protože ráno to vypadalo hodně špatně, silný déšť, velký vítr. Teď už vidím trošičku sluníčka, vítr se uklidní, snad se i otočí, protože to nepřeje tolik sprinterům, ale ono to je takový, uvidíme. Točí se to chvilku tak, takže věřím, že budou dneska padat krásné výkony.
Velmi dobré výkony, co se týče českých atletů, by mohly padnout na 400. Právě tady na tomto stadionu vyrostl pro českou atletiku Matěj Krsek, který se utká třeba s Michalem Desenským anebo s Pavlem Maslákem. A velkou podívanou slibuje i ženská 400, kde se představí Lada Vondrová a Lourdes Gloria Manuel.
Těším se na to, je to moje srdcová záležitost 400 metrů a hlavně se těším na souboj, vlastně zkušenosti s tím dravým mládím a uvidíme, kdo vyhraje, protože si myslím, že obě dvě holky mají formu, obě dvě holky mají splněné limity na mistrovství Evropy a určitě budou chtít předvést co nejlepší výkon.
Velký příběh tady píše kladivo mužů a s ním Volodymyr Myslivčuk. Ještě jako Ukrajinec skončil 5. na mistrovství Evropy atletů do 23 let. Pak ale se sportem skončil a vrátil se k němu až po příjezdu do České republiky v roce 2018. Už získal i občanství a před pár dny bylo i potvrzeno, že může startovat pod vlajkou České republiky na mistrovství Evropy, kam už se kvalifikoval, po případě na olympijských hrách, o kterých stále sní. Stále ale chodí do práce a proto často trénuje po nocích a kladivo hledá v poli díky svítícímu pásku. Deniso, je vlastně až neuvěřitelné, co ten sportovec je schopen podstoupit, aby si splnil svůj sen.
Za mě určitě, protože nevím, který sportovec by chodil trénovat v 1 ráno, protože vlastně nemá ani v podstatě kde házet. V Česku nejsou, nebo v Praze nejsou stadiony, které by byly pro něho přizpůsobené, co jsem se bavila s trenérem, tak buď tam jsou lidi, takže to je nebezpečný sport, anebo je schopen přehodit i plot. Takže opět je to nebezpečí a jít, nebo házet kladivo v 1 ráno, kdy prostě všichni spí, tak se můžete jenom doufat, že na tom poli prostě nikdo nepůjde a že to kladivo třeba potom ještě nikdy najdete.
A třeba pro regeneraci tohle to musí být strašné.
Musí, jako já si nedokážu představit, protože co já znám sportovce, tak my máme režim, že jíme, trénujeme, spíme a to se točí dokola, nejsme zvyklí ani pracovat a tohle to určitě klobouk dolů.
Volodymyr Myslivčuk už má své vystoupení za sebou a bylo velmi vydařené. Celkem 5 jeho pokusů se měřilo, nejkratší byl 75 metrů a 22 cm dlouhý a ten nejdelší v poslední sérii měřil 76 metrů a 69 cm. Tento výkon mu nakonec stačil na 2. místo o 68 cm. Byl lepší Brit Jake Norris, který vyhrál v novém osobním rekordu 77 metrů a 37 cm. Volodymyre, jak jste spokojen s dnešním výkonem?
Dneska je spokojený určitě. No určitě se na to připravlю. To všechno bylo jakby stabilní, 76, 75 a určitě poslední pokus se to zlepšil. No, protože to je to kladivár, jaký se zlepší u posledního pokusu. Tak se to vždycky říká, jak by tak.
Jak by řekli atleti, dneska to bylo tak říkajíc do kýble. Vlastně ten nejhorší a nejlepší pokus dělili na celé 2 metry. Tak je na to, aby to uletělo z této série?
Já si myslím, že dneska tak proběželo, no určitě tak házím jakby na tréninku. A závod my se počítáme vždycky na 2+, minimálně, jak tak. A no, určitě dneska je spokojný, bo protože v sobotu měl taky závod v Polsku a to bylo srebro, teď to je bronza a to bylo v sobotu srebro a plus cesta a tak. A dneska my jakby se počítali, že bude jakby probíhat jak to i trénink, bo protože v sobotu, ne, se omlouvám, v pátek bude jakby na Slovensko-Banském Bystrici, taky bude jakby to meeting sreblej. A no, máme toho spousta. Na 1 týden.
Nakolik máte tedy v této sezóně natrénováno? Věříte si, že by mohla padnout i 80?
My do toho jdeme. My se trénujeme každý den a já ji trénuji v noci. Takže jednou už určitě se to spadlo v 80 a už to se zůstalo na kolik tam let.
Tak ať to brzo předvedete i na závodech. Děkuji vám.
Děkuji vám taky.
A teď ještě časový harmonogram disciplín. Už v těchto chvílích probíhá vrch koulí žen, za chvíli se běží 800, 100, z technických disciplín se rozjede skok vysoký mužů, hod oštěpem žen a vrch koulí mužů. Pak jsou v programu 400, mužská 1500 a 200. Meeting komentují Michal Dusík, David Lukšů a Denisa Helceletová.
Takže vás také zdravíme i z komentátorské pozice a je před námi opravdu atletikou nabité odpoledne. Jenom tady ještě k tomu předchozímu tématu a k tréninkům v noci. Jednu výhodu Volodymyr bude mít, až se ta soutěž kladivářů protáhne někam hluboko do noci, tak zatímco všichni ostatní budou ospalí, tak on bude v tom pravém závodnickém rozpoložení, protože je takhle zvyklý házet.
To bude i ta kvalifikace.
Tady je hlavní tribuna kladenského stadionu, která se pomalu plní diváky. Už byla řeč o tom, že program vlastně je v plném proudu, protože některé disciplíny už probíhají.
Well, the broadcast just showing some highlights from earlier, including the hammer competition that I mentioned. And we're back with live pictures then in the men's discus. And this is Alessio Minucci, who was previously in second place with a best of 61.36. He's now been pushed down to third by Marek Barta, a Czech athlete who has improved with 62.25 in round number 5. On to Victor Hogan of South Africa. Good throw, that well over 60 metres. Holding on to a decent sized lead in this competition. At the moment, although it's been cut, it remains at just over 1.5 metres.
Ten pátý pokus ho posunul na první místo. Tohle je ten úvodní, ke kterému jsme se vrátili. Ten držel Hogana na první příčce. A pojďme se podívat také na to, jak vstoupil do závodu Islanďan
Gudni Valur Gudnason of Iceland. 18 times national champion, including discus shot put indoors and outdoors, with an unusual sort of tartan design on the rear of his vest.
letý Islanďan, který měří bez 1 cm rovné 2 metry, tedy se přiřadil mezi muže, kteří se dostali přes 60 metrovou hranici. Tady už je pohled na startovní listinu výškařské soutěže.
These are the athletes involved in the women's high jump, which we caught a glimpse of earlier.
Zatím se ta soutěž teprve rozjíždí. Momentálně se skáče na 178 cm. Tohle je Petra Feketeová, tedy maďarská závodnice. Petra Feketeová, která se narodila v Kladnu a momentálně studuje sportovní ekonomii v Budapešti. Letos hale si posunula hodnotu svého osobního rekordu na 180.
So men's high jump coming up in about 40 minutes time. This is the women's competition. We're looking at Petra Fekete, the Hungarian. Nice clearance for her at 1,78 m.
Pro mě veliké překvapení, že vlastně na 170 vypadla i Denisa, která je i mistryně republiky a osobní rekord má daleko výše.
So Fekete with a nice comfortable clearance there. Looked very much in control throughout. And the bar for her will go up to 181. Urte Bakstuta of Lithuania, third height at which she's attempted. And she can make it over. So yes, also over at this height of 178.
Je to možné, občas ta změna trenéra nedělá dobře, může vám to jít na začátku, ale pak tam právě můžou následovat nějaké změny, které vám buď trošičku změní techniku, nebo třeba začnete jináč posilovnat a chvíličku trvá, než si to tělo na to zvykne.
Tady mezi tím bude Bakstutová také na podruhé zdolala 178 a celá čtveřice tedy půjde na 101,80, kromě Maďarky Feketové.
Well, sometimes you see coaches or teammates filming from the stands, but she's filming her own jumps and watching them back almost immediately.
Ona se dlouho to řešila
tak,
tím to bude lepší pro výšku, což úplně nefunguje.
She was part of the high jump event in Jerusalem, which we also streamed on the European Athletics YouTube channel at the weekend. She was there with her teammates, horizontal jumpers Dana Zagainova and Davile Kilty. They were both placed in the top 4 there. That was the World Athletics Continental Tour silver meeting. As we look here at Kristina Ovchinnikova of Kazakhstan. Bar has gone up to 181. She's the first to attempt it and brings it down. Yulia Chumachenko of Ukraine also involved in this competition. Cleared first time 174 when entering, then passed at 178. and I suspect we'll next see her at this height. But we lost Denisa Pesheva, who we'd seen previously clear 165. Also Eliska Trularova, Klara Bashutova. So as a result, we have 4 athletes remaining in this competition. So women's shot put. Toy mill of Spain, you can see here. Toy mill finds herself in 3rd place. 18:13 we saw come up there. This is Jessica Inchude of Portugal in the Sporting Clube de Portugal, Lisbon-based Club Vest. So her put is just 2 centimetres further. What about Fanny Roos of Sweden? Nice, powerful effort and close to 19 metres, so a new leader.
Tohle byl pokus ze 3. série a zatím se pořádně netrefila do svého pokusu Daniel Thomas Dodová z Jamajky, která je tou papírově největší favoritkou.
So 1860 there for Fanny Roos, who leads from Inchud and Toy Meal. Those 3 athletes all over 18 metres.
Ale potom přišel jeho 5. pokus, který letěl až za 62 metrů. 62 metrů a 25 cm, to je výkon, který Marka Bártu posunul velmi výrazně kupředu. 31letý český závodník, účastník mistrovství světa z Eugene. Letos už předvedl na Julice i 65-metrový pokus a vylepšil si osobní rekord, potom v Limassolu 64-43, teď tedy 62-25, což je výkon, který...
So this was the improvement I mentioned a moment ago of Marek Barta, 62.25, cutting the lead of Victor Hogan of South Africa in round number 5. Just catching up with some of the highlights from earlier on in the competition, which is now concluded. So Hogan out well beyond 60. And seals an impressive victory. So this is how the full result ended up then. Barta, the big mover in the closing stage of the competition, up into 2nd place, and interesting to see the gap graphic on the right hand side versus the leader.
Takže pěkné body z bronzového meetingu Continentální Tour dnes na kontě Marka Bárty přistáli, budeme držet palce, ať to dál klape a ať se ta olympijská šance přece jenom otevře.
So returning to the women's shot put, Roos of Sweden in this 3rd round now. So once again looking very close to 19 metres, down the centre of the sector pretty much. She held on to her balance, unleashed the energy like a coiled spring. So 1860 improving on her lead by 14 centimetres. Ovchinnikova in the high jump. And looking to see that bar, it's moved up to 184 now. So last we saw, we had 4 athletes left in at 181, Chumachenko, Bakshtuta, Faketa and Ovchinnikova. And this athlete, who was leading previously, She was the only one who failed at the first attempt at 178. Or the previous height, so the others all made it over, including Faketa at the first time of asking, and therefore the order has changed. It's now Chumachenko, Bakshtuta, Faketa on countback, as we see Faketa fail at 184, but 4 athletes do still remain in, representing Ukraine, Lithuania, Hungary and Kazakhstan.
Hodně v hlavě, to můžeme sledovat u výškařů, výškařek, tyčkařů, tyčkařek, takový ten postup na ty výšky, které dobře znají, a pak najednou přijde ta oblast, kterou mají buď neprozkoumanou nebo málo prozkoumanou, a najednou jakoby na ně spadla deka, přestože předtím.
So you can see the blocks out there ready.
Přesně tak, je to hodně o psychice.
Next event on track is going to be the men's 800 meters. These blocks obviously by the 100 meter starts that we saw a close-up of, but this is the lineup for the men's 800. So this is the A race, having seen the B take place earlier on. Jan Tejšar, lifetime best this year, won 47.59. Daniel Katusha, one of the Czech athletes, as you can see, Czech indoor champion this year. The Ottawa vest of Stephen Evans, the Canadian, personal best last summer in British Columbia, 1:47.02, obviously on the west coast of Canada. Simon Eckel, 1:51.21 personal best, so we'll hope to use the opportunity among faster athletes to improve on that. On to Marino Bludek of Croatia, 800, 1500 and 4x4 national indoor titles this year. And then in the blue, that is Samuel Chappell, 2.9 seconds improvement in 2024. It's a really interesting mix of athletes here with Nico Baketa on the inside. Another who's improved this year to 1:47.40. And another Czech competitor as well. So now underway in this race, and it's quite interesting to compare some of the athletes who have great form and who've improved by 1 or 2 seconds already this year, and those who maybe have faster times but haven't quite achieved that yet in 2024. And one of those would be Marino Bludek, the former European under-20 champion from Grosseto 7 years ago. But obviously he has won titles this year. Then again, he might not need to run the race of his life, no disrespect, to win the Croatian title, especially in an 800-meter race. And obviously we have a pacemaker going for a target here. And it's going to be pretty quick, 51:14 at the bell. So let's see who will now push on. Well, Evans in the Ottawa vest to the front now, with Peshar behind him, and then Chappell on the outside, the tall figure in the blue. Daniel Kotsya, who won the Czech indoor title this year, in 4th place now. So Evans, the Canadian, Chappell, the Dutchman, Peshar, the best of the Czech athletes, Jan Tejšar. Moving into second now, Evans beginning to fade. It's Samuel Chappell and Marino Bludek coming from very far back here, too far back, as Chappell holds on for victory in 1:46.74 in this 800 metres. Well, quite impressive for the Dutchman, and he certainly has backed up that recent personal best of 1:45.91. A 2.9 seconds improvement this year, I mentioned, until that time in Nijmegen recently. Previous winner of the Dutch indoor title 2 years ago, but that's his only national championship victory at senior level. Teshar beating his teammate Katusa, whose personal best is 1 second quicker, but ultimately races aren't run on paper.
Pětistovce vzal na své nohy, tak v závěru taky hodně vytuhl.
No, bude to na hraně. Dívám se, že právě Dan má poslední čas v rankingu 1.48, pomocných bodů 45.
So full result of that race, as you can see, Chapel from Blodeck, the two fastest finishers in that race. Let's have a look at what's happening then in the women's high jump. Again, looking at Fedra Faketa. Bar still at 184. Yulia Chumachenko, the only athlete who's cleared at this height. And she also still has a perfect record. First time clearances at all of the 3 heights that she has attempted. So Faketa needs this, but is now out of the competition, I'm afraid. So 3 athletes remain. Ovchinnikova clearing at the 2nd attempt. It's just come through on the computer. And then Uta Bakstuta also has a 3rd attempt at 184. The 4th height that she has attempted.
Neměl šanci. Z tohohle se prostě nedalo skočit 184. Uvidíme, co u té Bakštiteová, která přece jenom těch zkušeností.
So, here is Bakštuta, the Lithuanian. Trying to get the crowd going. Good mix of generations. Supporting on. Bakštuta with this long run up. Edges forward, eyes on the bar. Ultimately didn't achieve quite enough height. So leaves us with just the 2 athletes. And the bar will go up to 1.87 m.
V letošním zápise u té Bakštitové sice je 192 cm, ale to je právě ze začátku halové sezony.
No, it looks like she's sending a text message, but I think she's reviewing that jump. Possibly even hitting the delete button if she doesn't want to see it again.
Marku, dnes to bylo přes 62 metrů, jak jste s tím spokojen?
Jako není to, co jsem doufal. Potřeboval jsem rozhodně dál vzhledem k rankingu směrem k olympijským hrám. Bylo to takové trápení. Nakonec, jako asi nevím, co říct, no, prostě doufal jsem v lepším.
Letos už za 65 metrů, kde cítíte, že jste se nejvíce posunul?
Myslím si, že trošku do sebe zapadly technické věci, na kterých jsem pracoval poslední roky. A to mě asi posunulo, což byla ta věc, která se dneska rozhodně nestala, která se nedařila.
Jak těžké bude se kvalifikovat na olympijské hry? Jak je těžké honit takhle ty limity nebo ranking?
Jako myslím si, že to bude velice obtížné. Jako pro lidi, co se tam dostanou, bude mnohem jednodušší uspět, než se tam kvalifikovat. Je to spousta lidí má naházené ostré limity na různých závodech kolem světa. A pro ranking tam zbývá jenom posledních pár míst, takže to opravdu bude chtít maximální počet bodů, který jde získat. A ještě k tomu dobré závody.
Se vám to podaří, děkuju.
Moc krát díky.
Tohle už byl první pokus Kristýny Ovčinníkové na 187 cm a tady naděje.
So watching Kristýna Ovčinníková at 187 now. And she'll have 2 more goes at this height. The interview being done by Czech television just briefly before was with Marek Barta, who finished 2nd in the men's discus competition with 62.25. We haven't really seen Yulia Chumachenko so far. Hasn't really had enough attempts for us to capture. It's been all plain sailing. And now it becomes business time, really. Can't afford too many slip-ups by this point. 187.
Z Nikolajeva, což je město, které je na pobřeží Černého moře, je to jeden z velkých ukrajinských přístavů a bohužel je to tady také jedno z měst, které hodně utrpěly při ruském útoku a při ruské agresi. Rusové dokonce se snažili Nikolajev dobít.
Well, there's such depth in Ukrainian women's high jumping that probably not that easy for Chumachenko to get a look in, but a strong performance here. And a couple more clearances, and doing just that could help her. Obviously, it may be the case that the likes of Yaroslava Mahuchik opt not to do the European Championships. That could potentially open the door. There's also Irina Heroshenko and Yulia Levchenko. Chumachenko, 29 years of age. Competed at the Rio Olympics. Personal best of 194 of Chinikova, failing at the second time then at this height of 187. On to the shot put and Alina Kenzel. Looks like we're in the 5th round we're watching now. So men's discus having concluded with Victor Hogan winning. Kenzel competing alongside Daniil Thomas Dodd, Fanny Roos and others in the shot put. So Rose still leading with that effort we saw of 1860. Then Daniil Thomas Dodd behind her, 1850. And Maria Belen Toymil in 3rd place. So really good use of the width of the circle. And great power as she unleashes the shot. Let's see what this distance is. 1842. 29 centimeters improvement, consolidating her position. So Daniil Thomas Dodd of Jamaica. Again, really strong and very close to 19 meters, as a number of athletes have appeared to be. Just makes the implement look so lightweight. Does the Commonwealth champion, 1850. So this effort in the final round sealing her 2nd place, and this is the final result at the end of things. Sweden from Jamaica, from Spain, Rose, Thomas Dodd and Toymil. But still a score to settle in the women's high jump of Chinikova. Bar coming down, and that was her 3rd attempt at 1 meter 87. So Chumachenko, by maintaining a perfect record across 4 heights, wins the competition here. And what's she going to attempt next, I wonder? Women's 800 meters coming up next. We'll also have a men's 800 meters too, but these are 2 really exciting events. The men's 800, as I say, a few moments ago, won by Samuel Chappell, the Dutchman, overtaking a number of fast athletes, including Marino Blodek, who was in second place. So we have a look at the lineup. You can see some of the names you might recognize. Olga Liakova, European bronze medalist 6 years ago back in Berlin. This is Kristina Balan, the Francophone Games bronze medalist. And there is Liakova. She was the second of the two Ukrainians on the podium back in 2018. Behind Natalia Prishepa, who won gold, Renelle Lamotte silver. Chavankova, one of the Czech athletes, hoping to use this opportunity to improve on her 2:09.35 personal best. And the first of the two British training partners. Shortly we'll see Isabel Boffey. This is Abby Ives, 1:59.92. That real breakthrough time for her. She's already won the British Universities title this year. Alongside her is Vladimira Sacherova, 2:15 at best. So real range in times across this field. Same with Barbora Stemberova, and then Sara Lapalainen, Nei Koivisto, the Finnish national record holder. Fantastic performance at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Isabel Boffey opened up her season outdoors at the Doha Diamond League. Got a time of 2:01. Run slightly faster indoors this year. Anna Fisheva of the Czech Republic. And then, well, Chekova, I'm sure you can guess the nationality as well. The flag certainly helps. Also, well, the athletes you'd pick out really: Boffey, Lapalainen, Ives, Liakova and Balan. But as we know, the 800 metres and the real range in times could make this a bit of an equaliser, and we'll have to see who really takes this one on. Of course, we do have a pacemaker involved, which will help. And it did make a bit of a difference in that men's race. We had 3 or 4 athletes battling for the victory. Let's see who features here. Of course, have to perform well early season in order to make it to those European Championships in Rome, which are coming up so quickly now. Early June, just a couple of weeks away really. And Isabel Boffey looks like she wants to take this one on. Of course, that 1:59.3 personal best in Madrid last year helped her get to the World Athletics Championships. Ultimately, she didn't have the competition there that she would have liked, but as many athletes tend to say, sometimes the first championships that you make, it's about the experience, and ultimately you'll grow from that, and I'm sure she will. So, behind the pacemaker, you can see Boffey and Liakova, and then Lapalainen. Lapalainen, who also did really well at the World Indoor Championships, breaking her personal best again and again in order to make the final there. 59.47 at the bell. Waiting to see when the pacemaker will step off, and has done so now. Real breakaway of this top 4 with Abby Ives at the back of this lead group. So these really are the athletes we expected to be at the sharp end of this race. And Boffey, we will see if she can hold on here round the bend. Ives trying to manage the gap in front of her. Koivisto tends to have good endurance towards the end of her races. That's what's helped her qualify through some of the rounds at major championships. The experience of Liakova as well on the inside. Lapalainen coming past. Boffey trying to hold on to this lead here. Lapalainen closing quickly now, but Boffey going to be strong. Lapalainen just a touch stronger. 2:02.24 on the clock for the Finnish athlete, who's had a fantastic few years. She was unfortunate to have an injury last year, though. But yes, holding the national records right through from 800, 1500 and the mile as well. And 2:02 times. Perhaps some of the athletes would have liked to run faster. I mean, they'd always say that anyway, when you consider that the top 4 athletes have all run 1:58 or 1:59 in fairly recent times. Certainly, Bofi, Lapalainen and Ives all have. But the fast finishing Finn has pulled that trick on a few occasions. Bofi ultimately did the right thing and tried to take it out and make sure that it was a decent pace, that the athletes were very much held to account. But most impressive of all was that finish from Lapalainen. See, she breaks out into a smile. This is a little bit of a comeback year for her as well. As I say, you may have previously seen her on that Olympic stage in Tokyo as Sara Kuvisto, as she was then. So Lapalainen, Bofi, Liakova, Ives and Balan, who was unable to go with that pace, and ultimately from there on in, 5th was the best that she could hope for, really.
Honzo, my jsme byli zvyklí vás vídat na 400, tak jak vám chutnala 800?
Je to podobné utrpení, jenom o jedno kolečko delší, no. Takhle bych to asi popsal.
Na konci už docházely hodně síly.
No, to vždycky dochází, ale jako je vlastně zajímavý, že to je vždycky jenom těch posledních 100 metrů, takže tímhle tím způsobem je to stejný jako na té čtvrtce, no. Perný.
Vy jste běžel výkon minuta 47 vteřin, jak jste s ním spokojen?
No, upřímně jsem chtěl trochu líp, minimálně to stačit pod osobák, což je nějaký 2 setinky nebo něco takového kolem toho, ale v podstatě jsem spokojený, je to můj první závod na té 800 letos. Běželo se slušně, jako jo, spokojenost.
A definitivně přecházíte na 800?
Takhle se to úplně říct nedá, ale určitě tu sezonu se tomu budu věnovat zřejmě víc než 4.
Hodně štěstí.
Díky.
Tak Denis, co bolí víc? 4 nebo 0,5?
Pro mě bylo vždycky, čím ta trať byla delší, tak mě bolela více a pro mě by to byla asi 800, rozhodně 800. Když to srovnám s vícebojem a 4, tak trpí se tam delší dobu.
Julie Čumačenková už dál nepokračuje, 190 cm, což měla být další postupná výška, zůstane neohrožená, protože Julie Čumačenková se už rozhodla dál nepokračovat, což samozřejmě může. Přesto samozřejmě vítězí před Kristinou Ovčinníkovou a Urte Bajkštitelovou. No a
tady vodička.
Tak. Tady
Zuzana Hejnová. Už trošku jiné roli, než jsme ji viděli před pár lety na dráze.
Ale přes překážky se dá jet i na téhle tříkolce.
My se můžeme podívat také na to, jak proběhla soutěž poštěpařů, která byla ještě součástí předprogramu. Jaroslav Fílek předvedl svůj nejdelší pokus až na závěr, kdy se jeho oštěp zapíchl na 72 metrech a 1 centimetru a tomu stačilo na umístění těsně pod stupní vítězů, tedy na 4. příčce. Jaroslav, který se prezentoval letos už i v Africe, jednak v rámci tréninku v Jihoafrické republice a pak také v Nairobi. Tady ten pokus, který ho usadil.
You're watching live coverage of the Kladno Hází Athletics meeting, World Continental Tour Bronze meeting from the Czech Republic. We're looking at some highlights from a few hours ago and the javelin competition that was won by Andrian Maldare of Moldova. And great that the Czech broadcast does enable us the opportunity to see what was on before the main program began. So, focusing particularly as well on the Czech athletes, Jaroslav Jilek just before with 72.01.
Na třetí pozici. A vybojoval na Kladně takovou tu neoficiální vizitku nejlepšího
And this is
českého
Krzysztof
závodníka.
Koczak with 72.24. So they finished 4th and 3rd respectively by the end of things among the 5 competitors in the javelin. What about Spain's Manu Quijera? Pushes right through the point, blocks, just about slows in time before that line, and very close to 80 meters. And Manu Quijera absolutely fired up. Unorthodox final part of his routine, but ultimately did the job effectively. So that gave him 78.85. Some 3 meters off this man, Mardare. Been around the circuit for some time, over 86 meters at best. He again lets out a roar, just as his competitor did. And good distance over 80 meters.
Který má osobní rekord starý 3 roky, je to zároveň rekord Moldavska, 86-66.
It's interesting when you see that javelin land and you see how close it appears from that camera shot to be close to the end of the sector. It actually looks further than 81 meters.
A myslím si, že že Mardare může být určitě spokojený.
But this is the result that we finished with in the javelin, as I say, Mardare, Quijera, Koczak, top 3.
Sarah, how tough was the finish?
It wasn't tough. This was my first 800 race and this season, and my only plan was winning.
And the time 2:02, is it something you can be satisfied with in the first race of the season?
Yeah, it was okay, but the win is only the number 1 today, so it doesn't matter what that time was.
Thank you so much and good luck to the season.
Thank you, and greetings for my running friend Kristina Mäki. She's Czech Finn. Yeah.
Thank you. Já přeložím slova vítězky. Na závěr pozdravovala Kristinu Mäki, která je její kamarádkou. Mluvila o tom, že ten závod byl těžký, její plán byl v první 800 téhleté sezony zvítězit, co se jí podařilo. Ptala jsem se jí také na to, jestli je spokojená s časem 2 minuty a 2 vteřiny, tak říkala, že vlastně neměla v merku žádný čas, že pro ní bylo prioritou zvítězit.
So that was Sara Lapalainen being interviewed on Czech television and saying, interestingly, and you can't argue with this, that she said it doesn't matter what the time was, she wanted to make sure that she was race sharp in her first 800 meters of this outdoor season, saying that it was okay in a modest way, but she wanted to make sure that she finished in first place. And enjoyed the shout out there to Kristina Mäki as well, who is internationally a Czech athlete but has Finnish roots as well, as the name suggests, Kristina Mäki. So it looks like we're getting ready for the first sprinting action of this main program here at the Kladno meeting, about 30 kilometers west of Prague. The blocks are out.
Jednak je to rychlá Němka Rebeka Házejová s osobním rekordem na 100-metrovém sprintu 11.06. A nebo Irene Siragusová, Italka, která Kladno má ráda, pravidelně sem jezdí už od roku 2020 a opakovaně tady dokázala vyhrát nebo se dostat na stupně vítězů. Tady je Rebeka Házejová, rodačka z Čopau, což je město blízko českých hranic, studentka psychologie, respektive absolventka psychologie na univerzitě v Chemnitzu, kde také žije a
Irene Siragusa.
A tady už je Italka.
A shot before of Haza, just disappearing off to the right of your screen. Siragusa, World University Games winner in 2017 when they were held in Taipei. Rebeka Haza, European champion in the 4x1 relay. in Munich on home soil. Well, both of these women have been very important parts of their relay quartets over the last few years. But the interesting thing about Hází is that she recently ran 11:07 for 100 meters, her fastest time since her 2017 personal best.
Dokázala posunout svůj osobní rekord na stovce na 11:21. To je Eva Kubíčková, která je velkým českým sprinterským talentem.
Ultimately, Hází is someone for whom you might have assumed that playing an important part in a relay when all the athletes come together in a major championships like Gina Lukenkemper, the individual 100 winner, and Tatiana Pinto and others, Alexandra Burkhardt. You might have assumed that that would be her role going forwards, but when you suddenly then run a time of 11:07, your fastest in 7 years, then it perhaps becomes a different story. And well, certainly if she can then set an outright personal best, and she becomes more of a contender individually, certainly at European level. This is Eva Kubíčková, the Czech athlete, personal best 11:51. So yes, again, there's multiple things at play here really, as there are a lot of these Continental Tour meets. You've got international athletes kind of taking a risk in some ways, hoping that it'll be a very strong meeting and there'll be a push to a fast time, or they'll be able to learn their racecraft in the middle distance, or the local athletes getting a great opportunity and hoping to be in, for some, their best ever race, their race of their career to date. Siragusa and Hází, good to see them next to one another. 11:06, that personal best I mentioned of Hází. Siragusa's fastest time 11:21 and 11:30 this year. So yeah, on paper they shouldn't actually be that close, even though they are two of the fastest athletes in this field. Same personal best for Cecilia Tamayo-Garza, and I know what you're thinking. You don't see the Mexican flag too much in athletics. There are certainly 3 Mexican athletes at this meeting. They tend to be long distance anyway because of the altitude in Mexico. Same with a lot of South American competitors. Nikola Bendova, 11:41, 4 times a Czech champion across various sprint events. And here is Barbara Splechnova, 11:77 at best. So yes, the athletes on the outside are very much, will be hoping for personal best here, to be pushed to faster times, maybe to go sub 11:50 for the first time.
Rekord meetingu drží Eva Svobodová, je poměrně kvalitní, 11:14. Ten čas běžela tady na kladenském sletišti před 2 lety. Házíová už letos se dostala k rychlejším časům, takže by to mohla být ona, která vyzve tu současnou rekordmanku meetingu Evu Svobodovou z Polska. Osobní rekord 11:06, ale letos se dostala na 11:07. Tak uvidíme, jestli Němka dokáže navázat na to, co v letošní sezóně už naznačila.
So a couple of late changes to the lineup, as you sometimes get within international meetings, but the ones to watch out for: Siragusa and Hází in lanes 4 and 5. Kubíčková, Siragusa, Hází, Tamayo-Garza, Bendova and Splechnova. Hází, not the best from the start, but now pushing on with her race and pulling away from both the Mexican and the Italian. Tamayo-Garza finishing very, very quickly. 11:29 the time for Hází, and I'm sure for her the victory will be just as important as anything else. But you have to be really impressed there with Tamayo-Garza. That is quite close to her personal best, just a 10th off it. And to see a Mexican close to the top of an international meet sprint timesheet is a collector's item indeed. And to be honest, I welcome it. We can see there Abby Ives and Isabel Boffey either watching on or just taking a post-race picnic on the Kladno grass. But probably of more interest to you is the fact that Rebecca Hází, improving in the second half of the race, Tamaya Garza really executing close to what she's capable of. And Siragusa is another scalp that she took.
Takže uvidíme, kde bude nakonec pravda.
Tak vítězství Házejové bylo nezpochybnitelné.
But now's the time anyway to dust off any cobwebs in these sorts of races. And the important thing was that Hází got the victory. We should also see her in a 200 meters as well.
U mikrofonu České televize Nikola Bendová, nejlepší a sprinterka na trati 100 metrů. Nikolo, běželi jste v protivětru, bylo to těžké?
Bylo to hodně těžké a hlavně na té stovce, to je opravdu, jak když máte před sebou vlak, ale tak jako já jsem si to dala jako takovou rozcvičku před dnešní 200 a já jsem si to jako užila, stovka je super, akorát strašně krátká.
Přesto čas 11:80, jak moc je kvalitní vzhledem k vaší nové trati 400?
No, tak jako já už jsem vlastně prvním závodem běžela 11:54 a tam to bylo taky tak nejsou moc podmínky, 4 dny po příletu z toho mistrovství světa. Takže jako já jsem na tom rychlostně super, ale dneska prostě zase proťák, já prostě nevím, to už je 3. meeting po sobě, co je to přes 2 metry proťák. Já mám na to asi nějaký štěstí a vozím sebou ten proťák, nebo já nevím.
A teď si to ještě odbydete na 200.
Já doufám, že si tam stoupneš a budete mít nějaký větráky a budete mít větra dozad, protože já už fakt potřebuju prostě běžet v kvalitních podmínkách a doufám, že to tady dneska padne.
Díky za rozhovor, ať se daří.
Děkuju.
So, Nikola Bendova being interviewed there, the top Czech competitor in that race. But as we were saying, Cecilia Tamayo-Garza, most impressive there really. And very, very close to Rebecca Hází, the European 4x1 relay champion, who also won a medal in Eugene. It was in the relay, a bronze there. And that was also particularly impressive too. Men's high jump, some decent international athletes in this, including Dove Armels, the European indoor champion, with a personal best of 2:31. It's a denser field really, both in terms of quality and quantity in the women's high jump field. No disrespect to them, but the women's field having just the 6 athletes over 165, and looks like Yulia Chumachenko has won the competition with that clearance we saw at 187, which Kristina Ovchinnikova of Kazakhstan was unable to go over. Next event on track will be the men's 100 meters. By the way, you can have a look at the schedule and results on the Czech Athletics website, online.atletica.cz. And if you had to guess which discipline Dave Armels did, you'd probably go for high jump first. Hard to miss anyway in the fluorescent yellow. The rather unerring shot of javelins altogether, as we see the lineup for the women's competition, including Gedli Tugi, who won this meeting last year, and Eda Tugsuz of Turkey. Well, Finland arguably thought of as the kind of spiritual home for javelin, but the Czech athletes would very much dispute that. Of course, the likes of Jan Zalesny and Barbara Spatakova, javelin legends. There's Gedli Tugi, the young Estonian.
Z těch závodnic, které chtějí bojovat o co nejlepší výsledek, je tam také Gedli Tugiová, to je 22letá estonská
59.79 was needed to win last year. 60.65 her personal best. We're looking here at Maria Vujinovic, two-time Balkan champion.
Byl ještě v tom mládežnickém věku, také ona má doma medaili z toho mistrovství
Marina Pishova, 58.85 her personal best. This is Annabella Bogdan, the Hungarian, twice the winner of her national title.
Andrea Železná letos posouvala svůj osobní rekord v Kolíně na 59 metrů a 16 cm a určitě by
Andrea Selezna, who's improved this year to 59.16.
60 metrů. Petra Sičaková, to je závodnice, která se v 21 letech dostává už mezi světovou špičku, dokázala si vybojovat
And a more enthusiastic introduction there from Eda Tugshus, who was fourth at the Olympic Games, and if ever there's a place to finish fourth, I suppose it would be at the pinnacle event. Personal best 67.21, but as we know, you can come into a javelin competition and look at distances that people can have achieved, but the result can end up being very, very different.
Nakonec tam není Anabela Bogdanová, neprezentovala se vůbec. Je to už několikátá závodnice z Maďarska, nebo závodník i v mužské kategorii na 800 tady odpadl Maďar. Vypadá to, že maďarská výprava dorazila.
Zůstala na dálnici někde trčet. Ne, věříme, že to není nic, že to je spíš shoda náhod.
Dorazila poněkud oslabená, ale budeme samozřejmě hlavně sledovat tu situaci, která se bude odvíjet v sektoru oštěpařek. Samozřejmě Barbora Špotáková tady také je, ale už pouze, řekněme, v doprovodné roli, i když Barbora Špotáková ještě úplně ty oštěpy do sklepa neschovala a pořád je připravená si zazávodit, když na to přijde. No a co se týká kladenského týmu, tak Kladno má také světovou rekordmanku hodu oštěpem, protože na Kladně hostuje Haruka Kitaguchiová. Takže světová šampionka.
Well, there was just a break there in commentary while I was trying to work out what was going on, but you may have noticed that one of the javelin throwers was more experienced than the other competitors. So we've also got Vanda Sherbova throwing a 500-gram javelin. Now, Vanda Sherbova here is in the 70 and overs category, and she was actually 5th at the European Masters Championships earlier this year. In which they threw the javelin indoors, and 25 meters 61 for the gold medal on that occasion. 32.60 for Sherbova, so she looks pretty pleased with that. So in the V70 category, throwing a 500-gram javelin, that's a nice little extra storyline to this meeting. Irena Gilarova, another of those who was in Jerusalem on the World Continental Tour at the weekend. So around 55 meters there. Another athlete with a smile on their face. In the early stages of this competition.
Dlouholetou souputnicí v českých podmínkách
Well, Wanda Sherbova's efforts of 32.60 showing as a personal best, but I have information that shows that she's thrown over 33 metres, so either way, we'll work out the numbers. Gedli Tugi. Well, Estonian athletics would very much like this young lady to be a rising star. She's come through the European age group competitions, both held in Tallinn, of course, 3 years ago, in which Estonia pretty much had an athlete entered in every single event. Tugi obviously breaking the 60-metre barrier last year, and in fact, in 2023, she achieved 7 of her 10 best ever throws, as well as winning that silver medal in Espoo in Finland, which isn't too far away, of course, from Estonia, just across the Baltic. 53.51 she starts off with in this opening round. European under-18, under-20 and under-23 medalist. Okay, on to the men's 100 metres. And athletes to watch out for include Jose Gonzalez, the American athlete who you may not have heard of, but some others who you might have. Kaihan Öze, perhaps more regular on the international circuit. Certainly in recent years, Marilady Paulino competing for Gonzalez Nation on the international stage, but not too many doing so. The same could be said for South Americans as well. So good to see them travelling across, getting their opportunities. So Benjamin Jakob and Adrian Brzezinski. Personal best 10.32, which actually compares fairly well to most of this field. Kaihan Öze, 4 times Balkan champion, 3 of those in the relay and 1 individually. 10.24 his personal best. As you can see, he's pretty close to that this year. On to... Oh, there's no Jose Gonzalez. That's a shame. Just as I was talking about Ali Anwar Ali Balushi. He has improved this year. Also an Asian indoor 60-metre champion and national record holder over that indoor sprint distance with 6:50. Dominik Ilovsky. Again, 10.30 might be a very competitive time in this race, especially as Gonzalez, who'd run 10 flat, isn't involved. Does change things a little bit. Jiří Sinek, 10.60. He's improved too in 2024. Of course, Rebecca Haase had run 11 flat, but the winning time for her closer to 11.3. So this is the men's 100-metre A race. You're watching the Kladno Hází meeting from the Czech Republic. And we have 6 athletes ready to go. Nemo, Brzezinski, Öze, Ali Al-Balushi, Ilovsky and Sinek. So suddenly the 2 fastest athletes in this field both have the exact same personal best of 10.24, with Balushi, who is from Oman, the athlete who's done that time this year, which backed up that 60-metre national record of his from the indoor season. So Temo, Brzezinski, Öze, Balushi, Ilovsky and Sinek in this men's 100-metre race. bit slow to rise there was Brzezinski, but Oza is well away now, being chased down by Belushi, who's really found a fantastic gear to sprint away from the field and looks to have equalled his lifetime best, as he just steers his way clear of the post-race picnic that athletes on the outside of the track are having on the grass. So Belushi, in fact it is a PB from Oza and Ilovsky, the top three. Well, I think that shows you when an athlete is up to speed already this year, what can be possible once you have a few races under your belt, and there'll be others watching that, realizing that that's the case. Oza ultimately 10:30 this year, but just wasn't quite on the same wavelength. Didn't hook up that race in the same way. Really good battle then for third place between the Czech athletes behind. Won by Ilovsky in the purple. Another occasion where it's difficult to tell whether that was delight or frustration. Possibly frustration that he thought that he hadn't set an outright best. But now the time's been given officially. He has. And a bow for good measure for Ali Anwar Ali Al Balushi of Oman. Again, how often do you see someone from Oman top the timesheets?
Do těch bodů a počítá se tam vlastně i výsledek z posledního mistrovství Evropy.
So 0.3 of a second, more or less ahead of Oza and then Ilovsky, further 1.5 tenths behind.
Dostal na závod, na kvalitní závod, ale taky na závod, kde nemáte tolik soupeřů, což třeba minulý týden v Polsku si Poláci obsadili 4 své závodníky a pak to dosadili cizinci, aby
So women's javelin is still ongoing.
se nazbírali body do toho rankingu, který je právě
And we should have a men's 100 meter B race. And then we'll also have the men's shot put competition getting underway in 6 minutes time. But let's have a look at Vanda Sherbova. She looks to go over 33 meters perhaps. That would be a good result for the athlete in the 70 and overs category, wearing the Sokol Prague club vest and enjoying every moment. And she's gone over 34 meters 83. So further than the distance that won her the European Masters gold medal in March.
První světový šampionát vůbec v historii a radost Heleny Fibingerové poté, kdy získala titul mistryně světa. Tak já myslím, že i Helena Fibingerová bude mít takovouhle radost z tohoto světového rekordu, ale i z toho dalšího, co se tady na Kladně děje, protože je to meeting, který má jako patronka a stará se o to, aby vlastně všechno fungovalo. A tady je u mikrofonu Janety Peřinové.
There is Helena Fibingerova, the former Olympic medalist.
Z diamantové ligy, zlaté kontinentální ligy. Přesto tady velmi dobrá konkurence, tak jak moc dobrý je to počin tady místních organizátorů. Přivítat tady koulařky, jako je Fanny Rosová, jako je Tomasová Dodová a jí podobné.
Samozřejmě já tady ten meeting jako jsem začala podporovat, stala jsem se jeho patronkou, tak jako pochopitelně jsem měla zájem, aby koule měla nějakou úroveň a mě nejvíc těší, že ty koulařky ve světě dneska začaly opravdu jako konečně házet přes 20 metrů a k 21 metrům, což jsme házeli my, to je super a hlavně ten meeting se letos je brzy. To je jediná díky olympiádě trochu nevýhoda, ale tady je nádherné prostředí a já jako bývalá atletka, já jsem milovala tyto menší stadiony. A Ta konkurence zase dobrá, i přišli diváci a teďka jediným takovým mým dalším přáním a prosbou je, aby se tady to dalo technicky ten stadion tak uspořádat v počtu drah, aby jsme se dostali do stříbrné World Tour a to v podstatě už pak budu spokojená, nebudu mít žádné jiné přání.
Tak ať se to podaří. Děkuju.
Děkuju.
Pojďme se podívat také do té kategorie bez rozdílu věku. Irena Gillerová a tohle je ten její vstupní pokus.
So Helena Fibingerova being interviewed just before. Montreal 1976 shot put bronze medalist, world champion Helsinki 1983. And she's about the same age as Sherbova, who's in the javelin. And this is Gilardova, who has thrown 55-34 already. Vucenovic holding the javelin up high, pushing it back and then all the way through the point. Some space to spare on that runway, 55 metres thereabouts. Well, having a look at the World Masters records, and I believe that Vanda Sherbova, subject to ratification, has become the first woman ever, age 70 or over, to throw over 34 metres. So, looks like we have a world record, World Masters records on our hands. And, well, this is interesting because Jose Gonzalez appearing here, who was meant to be in the men's 100-metre A race, and there was a gap where he was supposed to be. Are you telling me he's going to race by himself? Well, goodness knows what happened here. Maybe he missed the bus or something like that.
Mě by spíš zajímalo, co se potom bude dít, pokud porazí vítěze stovky a vezme mu body do rankingu. Tak tomu se to asi líbit nebude, tak možná uvidíme ještě v finále.
Shoulder shrug. But Jose Gonzalez, in any case, of the Dominican Republic, would appear to be in a race on his own. And he's gone for the best lane, or the lane that he initially had. There is expected to be a men's 100-metre B race, but appears that he's not going to be in that. But he's going to settle into his blocks.
Pro mě to je nefér, protože když jsem jezdila jako 17letá holka, která taky neuměla anglicky.
He's going to eye up the finish line, and he's going to have his own 100-metre race. And gets a clean start, as you'd very much hope, and now driving away as though he's trying to make amends for not being in that race initially. Comes across the line in 10:51. So not quite as fast as our winner of the A race, and he might have run faster had he been in it. Very nice leafy green surroundings, by the way, aren't they, around this track in Kladno. Wonder if they have to cut back the hedges. So Jose Gonzalez, 10:51. There's Kaihan Erza, who was in the race earlier. Looks like Abby Ives might have finished her picnic and is just packing up for the day. Gedli Tugi of Estonia on the runway now. Again, holding that javelin high, transferring that energy all the way through. Javelin crashes into the ground.
zimním soustředění přece jenom trošku se zapracovala i na svalovém skeletu.
Rather unsure reaction. Didn't fully attack that runway.
Což na oštěp není úplně optimální postava. Teď si myslím, že přibyly svaly.
55.15, so does improve, is in second place. Martina Pišová. Hoping to go over 50 for the first time, shaping to throw early now. Gets the white flag. Similar kind of effort to Tuki, but different style.
Teď to není tak daleko, ale samozřejmě je to zlepšení toho prvního pokusu 54.08. A Martina Píšová se tedy posouvá.
In many ways, they're all being upstaged by Vanda Sherbova and her World Masters record. Hope to see more of her. Andrea Selešná. Close to 60 meters then, so Selešná with 52.70 in round number 1. You can see she really got hold of that javelin properly. And a clean landing, but doesn't matter. 57.86, so goes into the lead ahead of Giladova by 2 meters and 42 centimeters.
Když se díváme na sektor koulařů, kde už za pár okamžiků začne soutěž.
So a bit of a break in the action here. We know that the men's shot put should be starting just around now. Looks like we're going to introduce the athletes in a moment.
Dá do pořádku, aby zase mohl stoupit v kruhu tím svým bojovým stylem. Díváme se na muže, kteří jsou dnes připraveni i po zdravotní stránce, tak aby mohli vstoupit do soutěže. David Tupý jde do kruhu.
Just cracked straight on. So the athlete being shown here, David Tupý, Czech athlete with a best of 18.75. So right on that 17-meter line, looks like 17 and 20 marked out there in the sector. Decent footwork and stayed controlled and balanced. 17 and 19, I think. So he disappeared off behind the hedges, perhaps nature calls. He kind of disappeared off as though he was a child playing football in the garden and the football had gone into the neighbour's garden, but I don't think you'd be losing the shot put round the back of the hedge. If you did, then I'd be quite worried for spectators. Whenever neighbours kick their ball into my garden, I used to kick it back immediately and not make a sound, and then often think that the ball had just miraculously bounced back. As we look at Prohaska, Tadeusz Prohaska, so 1935 he's improved to this year, belonging to the local club, with Kladno on his vest. Šimon Mazur, sporting a thick moustache. 2018, his PB 1992 this year. Shot shooting a little off to the left-hand side, but still an excellent effort to open up his competition. David Tupý with 16.77, the best so far. And then of what's come through, Petr Plašil 15.18.
Největší rivalové teprve přicházejí na řadu. Jedním z nich Carlos Tobalina
Carlos Tobolini, another vest that you'll recognise.
Španělský koulař, kterému je
Barcelona.
38 let. A je členem barcelonského
From
klubu.
moustache we go to beard. Tobolina. Well, again threatening that 19-meter line.
187 cm vysoký.
Major, our new leader, with 19.26.
Katalánský patriot Tobolina teď se dostává na 19 metrů.
Tobolina slotting into second place. Women's 400 meters next. So, I think this is one of the most exciting matchups at this meeting. We've got Lors Manuel, the European Under-20 champion, who improved significantly last year, 51.23. And we'd seen her at the European Under-18 Championships 2 years ago and thought, here's someone with real talent who hasn't quite learnt her racecraft fully just yet. And then last summer she really did. Miranda Coetzee, the South African, so already with one South African victor in the men's discus earlier, looking to make it a second. Coetzee, the African champion in 2022. And then just disappearing off for a drink is Lada Vondrova. Can't blame her for doing that. And she won the bronze medal at the World Championships in the mixed 4x4 relay. Great opportunity for nations who have one or two very strong athletes across both genders. And Ireland would definitely say the same, because Sophie Becker has had 4 top 8 places in a relay event at either a World Championships or an Olympic Games. Of course, Charlene Maudsley, along with Becker, also breaking her personal best recently. And Rashida Adeleke, their top 400-meter athlete. But I'm sure there'll be occasions when Adeleke won't be available necessarily, or will have too many races in her legs to run all of the relays, and as a result, in Becker and Maudsley and Phil Healy, all of a sudden you've not only got good depth, but you've got athletes who are in the form of their life. And that is a difference between a good performance and a great performance. And Ireland also showing that at the World Relays as well. Skadi Shear, by the way, on the inside, 51.82, her personal best. And then Becker, Vondrova, Coetzee and Manuel. Quite an exciting 400-meter race. You've got Manuel there on the outside, who's much improved, as I've been saying. Ladra Vondrova, who's also a very strong 200-meter runner. We'll wait and see who will finish well at the end of the lap. Sophie Becker, when you so often see an athlete competing well in relays, you kind of yearn to see what they can do individually. And she has improved this year to 51.13, and that was in Belfast this month. So Becker with Vondrova now perhaps fading a little. It's Coetzee who comes through, and it is going to be a second South African victor at this meeting, as Manuel finishes very quickly for second place. 51.20 for Coetzee, a season's best by 9/10 of a second, as Manuel gets that second place and is a few tenths off her own PB. Becker in third in a time that was faster than her old lifetime best before that Belfast improvement. And then Vondrova does tend to go off quickly, but sometimes does get caught towards the end of races, and that was the case today. Remember, at the European Under-23 Championships, it was Natalia Kazmarek who beat Vondrova on the line. Of course, Vondrova did get her revenge 2 years later. And is an athlete of great quality, but overtaken here by her compatriot Manuel. Coetzee was well ahead of the rest by this stage.
Gloria Manuel skončila druhá, třetí Irka Sofie Beckerová. Lada Vondrová se tam trápila a zůstala o 0,3 sekundy na čtvrté.
I think that was one of the better races of the day so far. Really excited to see this field go up against one another, and quite unpredictable as well. Courtesy with 50.9 clocking at best, but coming into this race she was 1.2 seconds off of that this year. And now the proverbial picnic spot is hers pretty much all to herself. I'm convinced that they have a gardener working here. Flowers on display as well. There is the result, courtesy Manuel Becker, our top three, and all respectable times.
Jdeme do koule, kde je připraven Khalifa Hamza.
Over to the shot put we go. This is Mohammed Khalifa Hamza, the Egyptian athlete, with a fantastic effort. So we saw Shimon Mazur of Poland go into the lead with 19.26. Carlos Tobolina then, 19.48 was the measurement of the effort that we also watched a moment ago. Don't forget, these are still first round puts. The Egyptian with 19.60, and now over to Romania's Andrei Toda. Maintains his balance, and that is a big, big effort. So much on 20 meters. Really nice agile footwork through the circle. Got his arms out to stay balanced. So what's this going to be for Toda? 19.79.
Vědí ona? Lourdes Gloria Manuel, nejlepší česká reprezentantka na trati 400 metrů. Lourdes, vy jste měla skvělý finish. Cítila jste tam hodně sil?
Tak samozřejmě jsem vůbec nevěděla, jak to dopadne, protože přece jen to byl první závod v letní sezóně, tak jsem si vyběhla a cítila jsem za táčce, že by to mohlo trochu ještě nějak víc, že bych se mohla ještě trochu zmáčknout a vlastně jsem viděla všechny holky před sebou v té léně. Tak jsem se zkusila dovymáčknout a nakonec jsem přiběhla a jsem spokojená, protože si myslím, že můžu mít radost za ten čas, co jsem teď běžela.
Jak je kvalitní takhle na úvod sezony?
Tak samozřejmě si myslím, že je to fakt dobrý a samozřejmě se mi to bude také počítat i do nasazení, třeba kde se nasazuje podle času, takže si myslím, že jsem položila dobrý základ.
Děkuji.
Já taky, děkuji.
51.66 je druhý nejlepší čas kariéry Lourdes Glory Manuel.
A já myslím, že se posune i v rankingu směrem k olympiádě.
So Manuel being interviewed after that fast finish in the 400 meters. This is Zlezna in the javelin, right on 60 meters there.
Budeme držet pěstí, aby se tyhle závody opakovaly a posouvala se stále výš, aby viděli bychom ji na olympiádě.
No a posun výš a dál jsme zažili právě teď v oštěparském sektoru, protože Andrea Železná
Zlezna in one of three field events currently ongoing.
60 metrů, 1,40 cm pro Andreu Železnou.
Let's have a look what she's improved to. Believe it is 60 meters 41. That has come up fantastic for Zlezna. New personal best.
Takže uvidíme.
There's a definite technique. You can see that in the preparation to throw for Petra Sičakova.
Vanda Srbová Marušová nepřekonávala Američanku, překonávala samu sebe, protože ona už v dubnu poslala oštěp do vzdálenosti 32,69 v rámci veteraniády v Libni a tahle starostka Břevnovského Sokola se tedy teď znovu zlepšila a dokonce
ultimately, though,
je to světový rekord
has not improved. 54.06 from the previous round. Eda Tukshu's well back on where we expected her to be. She's in 7th place of 7. 53.06. That's somewhat more like it. That might get her up into second place. 55.34 of Irene Gladová currently holding that position in this fifth round. Edda Tukčers, 56.65, a clear second place.
Já jsem teda nemluvila o Petře, ale uvidíme, jak to bude dál.
So this is the Kladno meeting from the Czech Republic, World Athletics Continental Tour bronze meeting. And this is Lada Vondrová.
Když jste doběhla, tak jste se tady pořádně rozkašlala. Běžela jste v pořádku? Nebo jaký je váš aktuální zdravotní stav?
Tak jako odbahám se z něčeho hrabu, prostě blbě se mi dejchá, ale musím pracovat s tím, co mám, takže jsem ráda, že jsem sem přišla, i když jsem věděla, že to asi nebude to pravý ořechový, tak jsem potřebovala se nějak prošťouchnout a vůbec zjistit, jestli to tělo jako zvládne tu čtvrtku uběhnout. Po doběhu jsem neumřela, nebylo to úplně vončo, ale myslím si, že každým dnem jsem víc a víc zpátky, takže budu doufat, že do Evropy ještě času dost.
Jak jste vlastně vůbec dobře připravena na sezonu? Jak vám vyšlo to přípravné období?
Já musím říct, že před Bahamama mi všechno šlapalo jako hodinky. Měla jsem, troufám si říct, jako životně natrénováno a potom se to na těch Bahamách pokazilo a teď si to trochu nesu s sebou, protože mě hodně mrzel ten týmový neúspěch. Podala jsem tam špatný výkon a ten tým to stáhlo dolů, takže se z toho ještě trochu zpamatovávám. Do toho to dechání a všechno, bylo to teď takový těžký, ale musím říct, že jsem se na dnešek fakt těšila, že budu závodit a doufám, že na terce už to bude dobrý.
Tak hodně štěstí.
Děkuju.
A také hodně zdraví, to bych doplnil, to je samozřejmě to stejně důležité. Carlos
Tobalina in the men's shot put. Tobalina wearing the support and the Barcelona vest and different coloured shoes. Slow motion, you can see the bounce off the surface as well. Fairly unusual. We'll have to get the gardeners to see to that. 1948 in this second round. Andrej Toda, chance to extend his lead. 1979. And he might just have done so. Not by much, though. Enough to take a little bit of the pressure off.
Po svém vítězství na juniorském mistrovství světa byl přistižen s nedovolenými látkami v krvi a tak 4 roky nemohl závodit.
20 meters 40, so now leads by 80 centimeters. You can see what looks like a bouncy castle on the outside of the track. Certainly, there are quite a few children's entertainers here, keeping the young spectators occupied. I mean, I was at the UK 10,000 meter trials at the weekend, in which they had a climbing wall for kids, tattoo parlour as well, not necessarily for children. In fact, definitely not for children. Sičáková just maintain her balance, stop before the line well, and goes over 60 meters surely.
Dáma posledních pokusů zřejmě.
So schedule and results available at online.atletica, atletika.cz, and Sičáková just having a look to see what this distance might be. 60 meters, 67, look at that. It's some 6.5 meters further than she's gone throughout the competition. And it means she's in the lead in this final round, 6th to 1st in one throw. Edda Tukčers, well capable of responding, but not if she does that. Tukshu's pushed down into third place. We'll come back to the javelin. This is the men's 400 meters then. So, just like the women's, expecting to see an A race and a B race. This is the very experienced Pavel Maslak on the outside, a legend of Czech athletics, you'd have to say. Maslak, well known for his 6 gold medals across World and European Indoor Championships in the past, but someone really who's faster than him these days is the 24-year-old Matej Kršek, along with Vondrova, won the bronze medal at the World Championships in the mixed relay. And then the British youngster Charlie Carvel, with perhaps hopes of European Championships, not impossible, Olympic Games as well, particularly as far as relay selections go. There'll be a strong British team this year, and increasingly seems that way, but he's one of the young talents rising through. Second place at the European Under-20s and gold in the relay last year. Marvin Schlegel, a previous winner of the European Under-23 relay title in 2019. Personal best of 45.76, which compares very well to this field. Michal Desensky, not part of that mixed relay quartet for the Czechs, but did win silver at the European Indoor Championships in Torun 3.5 years ago. And on the inside is Filip Krenek, a best of 46.73. So not too much difference on PBs right through the field, certainly not compared to some of the other races we had over 800 metres and 100 metres as well, I think it's fair to say. Maslak 44.79 his PB, but these days more like mid 46s. So yeah, somewhere between mid 45s and mid 46s is kind of where the whole field is at this moment in time, but we can't judge them fully because it's only middle to late May at the moment. So Krenek, Desensky, Schlegel, Carvel, Kršek and Maslak in this men's 400. So Maslak, the veteran, I guess you'd say now, although he's not as old as some people might think, in the red on the outside. Carvel through the centre. And Matej Kršek then in the yellow and green. All going pretty nicely, pretty line astern as we thought they might to this point. Kršek and Carvel in particular now both stepping on the gas, and it could be a fight between these two down this home straight. Carvel with the advantage over Kršek, and it's the young Brit now coming through for victory in 45.49. Well, that is a fantastic time for Charlie Carvel, and he is thrilled with that. And that is certainly a time that could help his ambitions this year. He is half a second quicker than Matej Kršek. And don't forget, Kršek came in with a personal best that was nearly 4/10 faster. So fantastic for Charlie Carvel, who got into athletics when he broke his arm and couldn't play what was previously his main sport of football. And yeah, his dad, Simon, watching from back home in England, in Shropshire. He's pretty pleased with that. Well, it was a fairly measured race as well, because waited and waited until unleashing that fast finish down the home straight to beat Matej Kršek, who was going fairly quickly as well. It's not a bad time by any means for the Czech athlete Kršek. But maybe it's the sort of performance that Charlie Carvel has been waiting to produce. He did have some injuries last year as well. 45.49, and it puts him further up the British all-time list, of course, inside the top 40. And that will be real delight for, I'm sure, family and coach as well, coached by Stuart Marshall. And a big personal best, that, and the significance of that, the timing of that could be important as well. 45-49, just outside the individual standard for the European Championships of 45-40. So that has to be one of the performances of the day so far. We've seen some close races, some good battles. That women's 400 meters as well was, one that was really difficult to predict, but Manuel and Sophie Becker having good races. Behind, of course, our eventual winner, Miranda Kutsi of South Africa. Carlos Tobalina of Spain in this third round. So he looks pretty pleased with that, although not giving too much away. Tobalina, who already has 19 meters twice. 1956 in this third round. Andrej Toda. Going slightly off to the right, but that is another very strong throw. He's been very consistent to this point, you'd have to say.
To nic nemění na výkonnostní úrovni, kterou Toader zatím převyšuje své soupeře.
Martina Píšová.
Martina Píšová má před sebou svůj poslední pokus. Nejlépe 54-29.
Again, effective technique. Didn't necessarily build up that much speed on the runway, but really got hold of the javelin. Shaping up quite early to throw. Decent angle on the release as well. And just having a look once again at how this competition is shaping up. Of course, we're in the final round now, and Petra Sichakova with that massive improvement to go from 54 to 60 meters and from 6th place to 1st place, all in the final round, and she's left these athletes with a hell of a lot to do to respond. Zaleshna was the leader, but ultimately her competition not ending the way that she would have liked to, but still going over 60 meters, new lifetime best. Massive achievement as she shakes the hand of Sichakova. So it's a Czech 1-2 in the women's javelin, as they would have hoped for, beating Eda Tucius by quite some considerable amount in the end. 4 meters back, but early season performances. Can we still say that? I think we can. Gedli Tugi, last year's meeting winner, not quite able to extract the same kind of performance today. Good view there from behind the hedge. So quite an exciting meeting to this point. We have around half an hour of it remaining as we speak to Matej Kršek on Czech TV.
Ano, mám velkou radost. Přestože jsem pěkně vytuhnul síly, tak mám radost, že to je po těch 46.
Jak se vám vůbec běžela ta trať, protože vás v dubnu omezovaly bolavé achilovky, takže nemáte zřejmě tolik naběháno?
Je to pravda, není to úplně v top formě, ale je to v dobré formě a ta forma teď ještě jako roste, takže těším se na další závody.
To je dobré znamení, protože teď se bude každý bodík hodit vzhledem k olympijským hrám.
Je to pravda, mám vlastně další závod hnedka za 2 dny, pak další jako za další 4 dny, takže to je hodně jako nabité a máte pravdu, teď je hodně důležitý ten každý závod, takže musím do toho jít naplno.
Tak ať se daří. Děkuji.
Děkuji.
No, Matěj Krsek v těch posledních 20 metrech to už byl záklon, se kterým se tedy dají běhat i světové rekordy. Pamatujeme si jednoho takového skvělého sprintera. Ale přeci jenom Michael Johnson byla v tomhle ohledu, co se stylu týká, trošku výjimka.
Tento myslím neměl o výtuhu, tento měl o svém stylu běhu, i když já si myslím, že Matěj běhá podobně, trošičku více záklonu, ale těch posledních pár metrů ho už asi hodně bolelo.
Tady už je startovní listina běhu mužů na 1500 metrů, ve které pokud se...
So, men's 1500 meters here with also some athletes who's improved quite a bit this year. I'm almost surprised to see how many PBs there've been among this field, including as we turn over to the second page. And one of them was by Hamed Rizki, who was first on the page, the Moroccan, who got a great opportunity at the Marrakesh Diamond League of a few days ago, and fastest ever time that he's run there by nearly 2 seconds as well. Got 6th place with 3:34.52 for the Francophone Games silver medalist. There he is. Not often you see a Moroccan athletics kit these days. Well, obviously, I mean, in the middle distance, you're more likely to see it than on any other occasion. But trying to work out what the make is, whether that's Mizuno. Certainly haven't seen much of that particular kit, and it really shows off the green and the red quite nicely. But you see, I'm an aficionado of these things because I find it frustrating that you can't go out and buy athletics kit for various nations in the same way that you can collect football shirts. I think if we tap more into that, you know, you could have people wearing the same kit in the stands at the Olympic Games as athletes are competing in it. It kind of improves that whole team element, if you like. Or if you had kit manufacturers, the shoe companies, the sportswear companies, having maybe one singular kit for the season. I mean, we can see 3 different ones there. Some of them not necessarily this season, but that would perhaps encourage people to support, if possible, a sportswear company's athletes, like Nike or Adidas or Puma, etc. I know that some organisers have tried to kind of add an element of that by, on the results sheets, saying which clan, should we say, an athlete is part of. Just feels like we're most of the way there with kit, and these small things might actually make a bit of a difference in terms of identification as well. You try and think of how many athletes you identify with certainty with a particular brand. Those partnerships might seem quite ordinary and quite mundane, but you know, is there potential that's untapped there in terms of support on a wider level? So yeah, real range of athletes and abilities in this men's 1500, but as we said in the women's 800, potentially can't really say how fast this race is going to be, and therefore quite a few will have an opportunity of doing well here. Timas Batasius in the kind of pale yellow vest, I guess you'd say, the Lithuanian, actually the meeting record holder here. In 2021, that time was set. Haven't really seen any meeting records here today flash up on screen, but Batasius running 3:37.97 back in 2021. He was 6th at the European Championships in Berlin. More of an out-and-out 1500 runner. I remember him winning in the European Team Championships in the first league, the second division as it was back then, the old first league I should say, in Sandnes in 2019 in Norway. Ola Stundas Isena, the Norwegian who was in the discus earlier, also winning that day. So Hafid Rizki, very interesting to see what he can do following that recent 3:34.52 time, only just a few days ago. Mehmet Çelik of Turkey, 3:37.46 of best. He was third at the European Team Championships. You've also got Anas Lakti Chaudhar, Spanish athlete, who's made 11 seconds improvement since the end of the 2022 season. So across the last year and a half, really, in terms of actual racing. Jakub Davidic, World Under-20 4th placer and Czech national Under-20 record holder there on the outside. 3:38.18 at best. And Dominic Weber there, he has a personal best of 3:52, but such is the pace that he's happy to go and stick with this group, this big lead group. Batasius leading from Rizki. Rizki, if anything, is playing it safe at this point. And you've got Lagiti Chaudhar in third. And look at this, Weber, the man with the 3:52 personal best, some 18 seconds off the man he's now alongside. He's looking to push on with this race. Čelik in the blue and green towards the back of this pack, the shorter athlete. So Rizki and Weber. And then Lakti Chaudhar in the black. In the black even. 1 lap to go, 2:53. Bit of pushing and shoving there, or at least encouragement. Gentle, subtle push on the back, encouragement. Which doesn't always go to plan. I'm still really waiting for the athletes at the front to get on with this. And Čelik says, I'll go out almost into lane 3 now. And then checks inside just to see how many are still around him. Still about 6 athletes are capable of winning this race now. Batasius tries to stay on his feet. And he's going to have to come from well back here. Rizki holding the inside now. Čelik on the outside. A fast finisher through on the inside coming as well. Rizki finds the final gear, but Čelik gets to the line first. And that was incredibly close. 3:46.33. And I imagine the athletes will have learned a thing or two, will have wanted to run a bit faster, but still, as Sadalapa Lainen said in the women's 800, maybe you can't put a price on finishing first, even if the time isn't what you desired. So 3:46.33 for Mehmet Čelik of Turkey to beat the Moroccan Hafid Rizki by 7/100ths of a second.
To byla strašná smůla pro Jakuba Davidíka, že tam se nechal zavřít, je to jeho zkušenostech, on prostě tam najednou běžel proti zdi, na záda soupeře, odrazil se od něj a v tu chvíli měl po šancích, ale Filip Toul 3:47.89 a ještě Michal Hrok se tam v závěru dostal před tuhnoucího Jakuba Davidíka, tam vidíte ten souboj v pravém horním rohu obrazovky. Takže Filip Toul potvrdil svoji pozici stoupající hvězdičky, zatím nechci říkat hvězda, aby nespiknul, hvězdička českých běhů. Jakub Davidík. V tomhle případě si úplně nepomohl, co se týká té cesty do Říma, protože on je těsně pod čarou, pod hranicí kvalifikace na mistrovství Evropy, tam zatím je na tom
So Čelik, Rizki and Sema Cherard finishing third there. Didn't really mention him too much in that race, the Algerian, and that's because he didn't really appear at the front until the very end.
Takže Čelik první, hezký druhý čera, druhý z Čechů, nejlépe Filip Toul na 6. pozici.
My se zase vracíme ke koulařům. 5. série je ve svém průběhu. Tadeáš Procházka jde na svůj další pokus. Předtím 18.01, 18.04 ve 4. várce pokusu a teď zatím nejlepší vystoupení Tadeáše Procházky, který se dostává na 18 metrů a 76 cm. To už je jenom 9 cm od jeho nejlepšího výkonu této sezony.
So seeing a nice mix of track and field action, you'd have to say, with women's javelin, men's and women's discus, high jump competitions earlier. Carlos Tobalina in this 5th round, he's always been there or thereabouts, and is now in 3rd place, 1983, latest measurement here. Andrej Toda still with a healthy lead. So Toda over 20 meters and 40 so far from round number 2. And proving to be remarkably consistent, the Romanian.
Právě on, kdo je jedničkou tohoto závodu. Jeho 5. pokus měřil 20 metrů a 54 cm a zase tedy uniká o pár decimetrů svým soupeřům. První příčka stále platí pro rodáka z Rumníku Volča, z župy v rumunském Valašsku. Tahle trojice je odskočená. 4. Šimon Mazur. Procházka byl na 5. místě.
So 20.54 for Andrej Toda, that 5th round of measurement.
Přišla na kladenské letiště a podporuje atlety ve všech disciplínách.
No a podporoval určitě i české oštěpařky, které svedly souboj o vítězství.
As we watch a spectating
Andreo,
dog.
překonala jste magickou hranici 60 metrů, co tomu říkáte?
No, konečně jsem se dočkala. Je to taková odměna za tu tvrdou dřinu, prostě co odvádíme s trenérem. Takže jako jsem strašně šťastná.
Jak jste vnímala ten pokus?
Úplně jako konečně. Jak to mám popsat, ale prostě konečně to tam padlo.
Vy jste se tím výrazně přiblížila účasti na mistrovství Evropy, zatím jste teda tou 4., ale není to daleko, tak jak tohle to vás motivuje?
Tak jako motivuje vás to, chcete reprezentovat tu republiku, ale zároveň jako chci házet co nejdál, takže spíš to beru tak, že je nás tam hodně a musím se snažit házet co nejdál a třeba to tam vyjde. No.
Tak hodně štěstí do dalších závodů.
Děkuji moc.
Petro, vy jste v neděli házela v Tokiu, dnes už jste tady na Kladně, tak jaký byl ten přesun a jak se vám vůbec házelo?
Přesun byl dlouhý, cestovali jsme téměř 24 hodin a vůbec jsem nevěděla, jak na tom budu. Včera, když jsme přiletěli, tak jsem byla úplně mrtvá a ještě mi trenér dal 2 tréninky. Prostě...
Ale evidentně vám to sedí z té únavy závodit.
Přijde mi, že jo, no, protože jak jsem hodila těch 62 v Lanuči, tak taky jsem měla den předem 2 tréninky, protože jsme to nebrali jako nějaký velký závod, jenom prostě testovačku, najednou to ulítlo, dneska to samý. Asi mi to sedí a trenér ví, co dělá.
Boj o mistrovství Evropy, o olympijské hry bude asi docela těsný. Jak vy tohleto vnímáte, že je vás tady víc holek, možná víc vlastně, než se tam může dominovat?
Tak já si myslím, že to je zdravá konkurence a jsem moc ráda, že nás tady jáže tolik, protože potom, když tady jáže 1, 2 a pak vyjedeme do světa, tak čumíme, když to tak blbě řeknu, co jako, jak se háže ve světě. A teď, když se háže takhle i v Čechách, tak zkusíme si to tady a pak jenom vyjedeme do světa. A prostě pojede ten lepší, no.
Děkuji za rozhovor, ať se vám daří.
Díky.
A my jdeme uzavřít koulařskou soutěž. Carlos Tobalina pokračuje ve svém úsilí.
Sichakova being interviewed following her javelin victory over 60 meters. New personal best for her. Tobalina We seem to have seen all of his throws. So 1983 for him in this final round. But the news is that Mohammed Khalifa Hamza of Egypt has improved to 20-28. So let's have a look at this. Look at that. 1960 in the first round, putting him in a solid third place. Nothing measured since then, but then the shot goes high and up and crashes down, even though he shakes his head for some reason. He improves by 68 centimeters to go up into second. Really just shows you that athletes always want more.
Takže 20 metrů, 28 centimetrů. Druhá příčka pro Mohameda Khalifu Hamzu. A teď Andrej Rareš Toader, který jde dokonce ještě dál. Dokonce to vypadá, že jde přes 21 metrů a je to tak, 21 metrů a 1 centimetr k tomu. To znamená, že i v letošních evropských tabulkách to je výkon velmi zajímavý, je to 6. příčka. A Toader dává korunu tomu svému vítězství dnes na Kladně. V atletice ho kdysi přivedl jeho děda Aurel Berbeče, národní šampion Rumunska ve skoku do výšky z roku 67, ale Andrej šel nakonec trošičku jinou atletickou cestou, ale děda určitě byl rád, že svého vnoučka přivedl k tomuto sportu. Dnes tedy 21:01 i posunutí nejlepšího výkonu této sezóny, dostává se před svůj nejlepší halový letošní výkon 20:98 a určitě spokojenost na Kladně. My se posouváme do sektoru výšky, kde už se trošku zúžila konkurence na 2 metrech a 16 centimetrech a bude se dál pokračovat na 2 metrech 20 centimetrech. Tohle je Jeff Vermeiren, který 216 volal na druhý pokus, teď tedy další.
So catching up with the men's high jump then. Yulia Chumachenko of Ukraine winning the women's competition, clearing 187 earlier.
Zatím uniká. V letošní sezóně na ně ještě nedosáhl. Jeho výkon tohoto roku pod otevřeným nebem je 2 metry a 18 cm.
So the bar in this men's competition currently at 220. Just waiting to see what height we're at here, because we have been playing in clips from earlier in the rounds at times. No, so 224 Jeff Vermeiren. Vermeiren, the Belgian, in this competition with his teammate Thomas Carmoy, European indoor bronze medalists, and we've also got Marek Barnik, one of several Czech athletes, as you'd expect, as there have been in pretty much every discipline so far, and he is over at 220 is Barnik, and that's a perfect record for him across 5 different heights now.
Centimetr 220, to je jeho výkon z haly, z Ústopečí. Pod otevřeným nebem se posouvá o 5 cm výš. V předchozím startu v Olomouci předvedl 215, takže je na dobré cestě.
Dave Amels. So bring the bar down. And he did have a bit of a wobble at 216, had to clear it the third time of asking. So you're watching live coverage then on European Athletics YouTube channel from the Kladno Hází meeting in the Czech Republic, the World Athletics Continental Tour bronze meeting. And we are, of course, only a couple of weeks away from those European Championships in Rome. Doesn't seem too long ago since Munich, of course, the last edition. Brian Raats hoping to become the third South African victor of the day, following the women's 400 metres and the men's discus, obviously by other athletes and not just him. Impressive if he did win all three, and also impossible, given that he'd be ineligible for the women's 400. Brian Raats is over at 220, third height that he's cleared. In fact, we have three athletes with a perfect record showing at the moment. Brian Raats, joined by Yaya Portillo of Mexico and Marek Barnik of the Czech Republic, who we've just seen. Czech Republic or Czechia have still seen both being used. Eric Portillo. One failure so far at 2:16, then cleared the second attempt. So he's up to 2:20 as well. So might also have to clear this new height at the second attempt. So only athlete to have dropped out of the competition so far is Alperen Asset of Turkey. And we still have 8 athletes remaining in. And they've all entered so far. Thomas Carmoy passing at the previous height, but expected to join back in at this one. But looks like just the 2 have cleared at 2:20 at the first time of asking. Waiting for Yair Portillo and Thomas Carmoy to have their first attempts. And here's Yair Portillo, third Mexican athlete that we've seen in action today. He's made 10 centimetres improvement this year. His personal best was 2:15 and it's now 2:25, so he's kind of halfway between his old PB and his new one. So building up a bit of speed on this approach, eyeing up this bar, and I think he'll feel that's one he should have cleared. It looked quite strongly like he was going to.
Na dvoustovce připraveny jenom 3 závodnice, je to samozřejmě dané i tím, co jsme slyšeli, Lada Vondrová se necítí úplně v pohodě a tak dvoustovku dnes vynechává tenhle dvoustart.
So 200-meter action now with Irene Siragusa and Nicola Bendova both involved. Siragusa flying round this bend into the home straight with a lead that surely won't be caught. Siragusa in a race of just 3 athletes taking victory, 23.04 seconds, perhaps avenging maybe a bit of disappointment for finishing 3rd in the 100 metres. Bendova curiously with a layer on top of her bib.
Irene Siragusa zaběhla čas nakonec ještě po korekci 23:03 a to znamená, že si posouvá hranici letošní sezóny o 0,3 sekundy, vylepšuje svůj čas z Ibizy, kde dokázala zvítězit. Počkáme si také na čas Nikoly Bendové, která se dostává.
So interesting, because was expecting to see Rebecca Hází and Lada Vondrova also in that race, having been in the 100 and 400 respectively, which would have been a nice matchup, but one reason or another, Siragusa benefiting from the opportunity, you could say arguably, and she takes victory in the 200 metres. Sounds a bit harsh now I think about it, but would have been nice to see them all together. Siragusa, she gets her victory. Hází has hers. Josef Adamek in this men's high jump. We're still at 220, by the way, as you can see. And Adamek, one of those with a first-time failure. Adamek shaping up for this bar, similar to what we saw with Jair Portillo. Got decent height, but just narrowly clipping that bar.
Jehož osobním rekordem je 223 cm z Chebu z roku 2022. No, letos se Josef dostal na 214 cm a na Kladně usilovně pracuje na tom.
So we have 6 athletes who are still trying to get over 220. Jef Vermeiren of Belgium. Oh, again, it was a really strong attempt, and I suppose you'd rather narrowly clip the bar, even if it is agonizing, because you kind of know that you're on the right track, and if you just try and repeat what you've done, but a shade better, then it might work out okay. Vermeiren, who's the personal best of 227 this year. 210 was needed to win the Belgian indoor title earlier this year. Men's shot put has concluded, by the way. Andrei Toda, 21.01, taking victory. The Romanian with a season's best, and then Mohamed Khalifa Hamza, 20.28 from Carlos Tobolina, the man who was on our screens in that Barcelona best, 1983. And again, going back to what I was talking about athletics kit, if you have a recognisable team like Barcelona, obviously, you know, it comes from football, that's where it's most regularly seen, but that does help in terms of being able to recognise and associate, certainly.
Je to tak, ještě vám dlužíme jednu soutěž, která dnes proběhla vlastně už v tom poledním, dokonce v tomhle případě ještě předpoledním programu, protože kladivožně začalo v 11 hodin. No a my se můžeme podívat na ty nejlepší. Lenka Valešová už přeci jenom není úplně skoncentrovaná jenom na atletický.
So we're looking here at the women's hammer which took place this morning. I believe this is Veronika Kanusheva, who finished in 4th place with 67.13. In front of her, Eva Rozhanska, Katie Head and Lee G. So we're just looking back through some of the highlights from earlier, essentially. Rozhanska. Hammer, for one moment, looks as though it's neck and neck with the trees and comes landing down around 67 meters. Rozhanska keeping her feet inside the circle.
Fázi přehodila 67 metrů ve třetím pokusu a nakonec se ještě zlepšila v páté sérii 67 metrů a 14 centimetrů.
67.14, so that was her best effort that came in the 5th round. And this is Katie Head of Great Britain, one of a number of really exciting talents that's made a breakthrough in the last few years, along with Charlotte Payne and Anna Purchase. Head looks very pleased with that. And obviously the hammer throwers opening up their seasons outdoors, and as we've been saying, you really have to be out there competing now if you want to qualify for the European Championships. You look back 5-6 years ago, and Sophie Hitchen very much the standout in the UK, and it's a different story now, even if no one's broken that British record. several athletes over 70 meters, including some for the first time over the last few years. Katie Head very much knocking on the door of 70 meters. 69.72 her personal best and 67.50 today. One athlete was over 70 meters, and that was Li Ji, even though that hammer looked for a moment as though it might have just, by the narrowest of margins, touched the cage on the right-hand side. There was a bit of a ripple effect, wasn't there? Li Ji, 70.47 to take the victory, the Chinese athlete, by 2 meters 97 centimeters. And that came in the third round, and she held on to that advantage.
Všechny 3 měřené pokusy Číňanky byly delší než ten nejdelší pokus Katie Headové. A jak říkám, Lenka Valešová atletikou už se baví, ale 61-90, to je hezká zábava.
Určitě, já myslím, že se může pořád přeměřovat nejenom v kladivu, ale i v ostatních moravských disciplinách.
Jose Gonzalez of the Dominican Republic looks like he's going to get a run out in the 200 meters, as well as that very curious 100 race in which he ran on his own. And he has a personal best of 20.24. He's going to join a couple of Czech youngsters. One of them, Lukas Sukal. So there he is, 20 years of age, personal best 21.34, and he's the 10th off that this year. Still very respectable. Got an indoor personal best this year, 21.46. That season's best. And then the 17-year-old Daniel Svech, PB 22.18. So expecting this to be one of our final races, the men's 200, last discipline. Of course, we've got the men's high jump still going on. But in this men's 200 meters, Daniel Svech, the teenager, Lukas Sukal, the 20-year-old, and then Jose Gonzalez, the fastest athlete in the field, 20.24, his personal best, all ready for this half lap of the track. So Gonzalez on the outside in the red and blue of the Dominican Republic. Even gaps between these three athletes. Have a look out for the clock now, with some good speed in the latter half of this race. 20.63, so actually quite an achievable meeting record. He's just a couple of tenths off it on this occasion, but still got a good run out across 100 and 200 meters.
Už zase lehký protivítr a Daniel Švec 22.95, tak nakonec ani jeden z těch časů nic zásadního neznamená. Třetí pokusy na 2,20 cm.
So as we said, the men's high jump remains ongoing, but we're going through third attempts at 220, and one of the athletes who is out of the competition, I'm afraid, is Josef Adamek.
Belgičanovi Vermajerenovi.
Jo, ne, jakože tohle tady by byl první pokus, tak na druhý to dáš. Zažil také atmosféru mistrovství Evropy před 2 lety v Mnichově.
Still plenty left in though. A little bit surprised that Dalve Armels and Thomas Carmoy have had 2 failures at 220. Brian Ratz and Marek Barnik are over at this height. Jeff Van Meijden. Tries to hurl himself over, but ultimately I think his previous effort was closer. Sadly no points for the somersault.
zůstává na 6. místě a ještě je tam Amels, který půjde na 220 cm.
Not yet, anyway.
Ještě tenhle muž by mohl
So, Eric and Yair Portillo, Amels and Carmoy, we're waiting for them to have their third attempts to see who will go on to 2:23.
Na jiný než juniorský národní rekord, byl druhý před 2 lety na domácím belgickém šampionátu. V loňské sezóně skončil na 4. místě. Tam byla
Amels is trying to get the spectators going.
mu pomáhá velká postava belgické atletiky, olympijská šampionka právě ve skoku do výšky. Tak tahle legenda je připravena na kladenském letišti rozdávat rady a teď k tomu početnému poli skokanů z Beneluxu bude přihlížet. Na řadě je Dougie Amels, který se dnes opravdu trápí na 2,20 cm, ani na podruhé neuspěl a teď třetí skok.
Amels, he was so close.
Velké zklamání, protože jsem přijel s výkonem 220 cm. Ale
Oh, I tell you what, some of these high jumpers have been very, very unlucky.
Ani body nějakého významnějšího přísunu bodů bohužel
Let's have another look in. Amels reaching over, getting good height. And it's right at the end of the jump. Maybe he thinks he's done it. Surely he thinks he's done that. Well, I suppose you have to reflect and say that that happened at a World Continental Tour meeting and not at the European Championships or Olympic Games. That's how I'd reflect on it anyway. No disrespect to the World Continental Tour, of course, but you know what I mean. This is a rehearsal for European Championships, Olympic Games. This is about putting together form and ultimately in a good, strong competition that the organisers have put together, and it has produced some wonderful moments across the last few hours, and hopefully you've enjoyed them as well, as we do see a clearance at last from Eric Portillo, the Mexican. Look at that, eyes on the prize, gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, gave it everything gymnastically. It really is a great launch. And kept his form, his technique throughout the jump. One of the advantages of being a slightly more diminutive jumper as well, it isn't such a long way from the start to the end of getting your body over. At least that's how it looks when we watch it back in slow motion. So Adamek and Vermeiden and Amels, all with 3 crosses next to their name.
Zažil vydařenější závody než 220. Ciudad de Mexico, osobní rekord 220.
Yair Portillo looking to become the 4th athlete to clear at 2 meters 20. And I thought he had done it. I really thought that he had it there, but ultimately, despite having plenty of height, just faltering at the very last. It almost doesn't look from that angle like he's made any contact with the bar. Very, very fine margins. So it's over to Thomas Carmoy of Belgium then. His compatriot Vermeiden going out of the competition at this height. Kamoy, twice a European indoor bronze medalist, personal best 2:29, 2:25 this year at Cergy Pontoise in France, and he will continue on to 2:23 today.
Karmoj zapomněl na ty nezdařené skoky, tohle bylo úplně o něčem jiném a Belgičan se připojuje k Bahníkovi, Krácovi a také k Portiovi a tvoří čtveřici, která bude dál pokračovat ve výškařské soutěži na 2 metrech a 23 cm. Když se díváme na spokojnějšího Karmoje, tak si pojďme poslechnout rozhovor s naší sprinterkou.
Terezie výkonem 24:16 jste splnila limit pro start na mistrovství Evropy atletů do 18 let, tak co tomu říkáte?
Tak já mám zatím splněný teda limit i na mistrovství světa do 20 let, takže to je asi teďka můj hlavní cíl pro tuhle sezónu. A samozřejmě asi jsem čekala i dneska trošku víc, ale myslím, že sezóna bude ještě dlouhá, takže se máme na co těšit.
Jak se vám vůbec běželo?
Myslím, že se mi běželo dobře, tady na Kladně je krásná atmosféra, takže já se nemůžu stěžovat.
Vy běháte s mnohem staršími soupeřkami, tak co vám vlastně tato konfrontace dává, protože věkem jste ještě juniorka?
Dává mi samozřejmě zkušenosti a obrovskou motivaci.
Děkuji, ať se vám daří.
Děkuju.
Výškaři trošičku nabořili program, který byl naplánován pro ten letošní ročník kladenského meetingu. Ale nás určitě bude zajímat příběh Marka Bahníka, který si zatím vede velmi dobře a má před sebou další postupný krůček v tom svém zatím čistém zápisu 223 cm. I v těch světových nebo evropských tabulkách v cestě do Říma stojí Marek Bahník na momentálně 41. příčce, ale pokud by ještě třeba teď přidal další centimetry, tak by to byl zatím nejvydařenější závod v jeho letošní sezóně. Nejvíc bodu bral za Hustopeče, kde se dostal na 1090 bodů a dnes je ve formě, tak proč to nevyužít? Teď bohužel už to nebylo takové.
Je to škoda, protože Marek potřebuje každý bod i za umístění.
So as you can see, we've moved on to the new height of 2:23.
Všechno napravil.
And our leaders in the competition, Rats and Banik, because they cleared first time at 2:20, whereas Eric Portillo, Thomas Kamoy required 3 attempts, so the two former names therefore go first, and second Banik and Rats. Here is the South African.
Letos startoval především na domácí africké půdě, ať už to byl jeho závod v Potchefstromu, který dobře znají čeští atleti ze svých přípravných období.
Já jsem ten závod viděla, byla
Not
jsem tam
quite good enough to lip read, but
jenom těsně myslím
looks like he's repeating instructions to himself. Don't think it's a full poem. Not enough height though.
Je pravda, že tam bylo daleko teplej, nefoukal tam vítr, takže tady s tím bude asi možná trošičku bojovat.
Rác tedy schazuje, zatím se nic nemění na tom pořadí, které momentálně platí, čili dělená první příčka.
Well, I'll tell you what would be really impressive would be for Kamoy or Portillo, who had a difficult time at the previous height, to suddenly pull it all together and get over 2:23, where the leaders have vaulted. It is Eric Portillo. Really launched for that bar once again, but couldn't carry his body over it. .225, his season's best. That was in Hustopek, the famous meeting, also in this same country.
Zůstává stále ještě v souboji o stupně vítězů tady na Kladně. Vlastně už takovém výškařské show, v takovém solo závodě. Tady je Thomas Karmoj, který nás navnedl před předchozím skokem. Ten byl hodně vysoký a zatím to bylo nejvydařenější vystoupení Thomase Karmoje.
What's interesting about Kamoy's competition is that he's been jumping very sparingly. which could mean a number of things. Don't want to speculate too much into it, but certainly let's focus on the fact he's someone of talent who's very capable of going over this bar first time, which he has done. Thomas Carmoy over at 2:23. This is the third height at which he's attempted. Coming in at 2:12, passing, going up to 2:20. And we know he's someone of real talent, of good consistency as well. And despite the fact that he struggled at the previous height, his third time clearance, which was pretty perfect, showed enough to suggest that he was capable of doing just that. Armel's out of the competition but watching on and is pleased for him. Barnick didn't quite achieve the height that he needed to. And Barnick finds himself in the same position as Carmoy was after 2 failures at the previous height. But still the 4 men left in for now. Compared, of course, to the 9 that started. Brian Ratz. World Under-20 silver medalist 2 years ago. 2:26 personal best, 1 centimetre off that in 2024. Oh, that was surely even closer than some of the failures that we've seen in the last few moments, where athletes have been taking the bar off with their heels. Again, barely any contact, just seemed to give it a tiny flick. Didn't get the rub of the green. Portillo, again, another athlete with a great opportunity. When he approached that bar a little bit more tentatively than he has done in the past. And he'll have one more go to see if he can pull it all together. Well, another interesting element to this stage of the competition is the fact that out of the 4 athletes jumping, 3 of them actually have cleared 2:25 as their season's best this year, compared to Barnick, for whom 2:23 would be his best of the year. So in very recent times, this is uncharted territory for him. But then 2:25 is his personal best. Either way, they're pretty closely matched. Barnick again a little tentative, then finds some acceleration, but brings the bar down once again. So, unfortunately for him, that is now 3 failures, and it leaves us with 3 athletes in the competition. And of course, before this height, he had a perfect record. And he had a chance to cause an upset. Brian Ratz of South Africa, the other athlete who had a perfect record before this height. One last chance to stay in the competition, otherwise it will be down to just 2 competitors.
také příčce.
Accelerates, leans, jumps.
Rác opět těsně schazuje.
And
Tak
goes
ani
out of the
tentokrát mu to
competition,
nevyšlo, bylo to
unfortunately.
velmi blízko.
So we won't have a third South African winner of the day, but we will again have a somersault.
Marek Bahník s Brianem Rácem zůstanou na druhé pozici, podělí si tu druhou příčku.
Not quite as close as that flicked off second attempt.
Ne, tak ještě Portillo je tam, pardon, zapomněl jsem na Mexičana, tak ten by samozřejmě
Still decent competition, best of 220.
tak teď ještě ten pokus
Not to be sniffed at.
a pak teprve můžeme udělat tu definitivní čárku za první pozicí. Brian Rác prokázal,
Oh, very impressive what Thomas Kamoy has done then to take himself back to the brink and now be very close to victory in this competition. The only person that can stop him now is Eric Portillo. He's carrying 2 failures at this height and 5 in total compared to Kamoy's 2.
Uzavřeme ten souboj o 223 cm a příběh Erika Portilla, který se hodně koncentruje na ten závěrečný skok.
So here comes Portillo. Again, late approach to the bar. It was a better attempt than the second go, but he's also out at 223. Kamoy of Belgium wins here in Kladno.
Pro vítězství si dnes sáhnul Belgičan Thomas Kamoy, i když to nebylo jednoduché, musel se zachraňovat na 2,20 cm až na třetím pokus. Ale teď už je jasné, že po vítězství nikdo nevezme. Myslím si, že pro dnešek se můžeme i vzhledem k tomu programu, který se protáhl, rozloučit. Kamoy bude dál bojovat o další centimetry navrch, možná i o ten limit, ale ten dnešní program kladenského meetingu už se z velké části naplnil.
Je to tak, je za námi tedy další atletický den, odpoledne, podvečer. No, já jenom připomínám, že na programu ČT Sport můžete momentálně sledovat fotbal. A fotbalový večer nás dnes i čeká, protože v tuto chvíli se hraje Mall Cup mezi Plzní a Spartou, je zatím utkání nerozhodné 0-0, no a večer nás pak čeká finále Evropské ligy mezi Atalantou a Leverkusenem, takže spousta fotbalu na ČT Sport. Zítra znovu hokej. Mimo jiné čtvrtfinále Česko-Spojené státy americké. No a spousta atletiky o víkendu. Příští týden Zlatá tretra jako ten největší domácí meeting. Čeká nás i televizí. A hezký den.
Hezký den.
Pěkný den.
Tak a můžeme se podívat samozřejmě na ten monitor na začátku výškařského sektoru za doskočištěm 226 cm, pokud dobře čtu. Ano, je to tak. To je právě výška, kterou si nechává nastavit už jistý vítěz Thomas Kamoy. 226 cm. Pokus o rekord meetingu. Ta konkrétní výška 226 cm, to samozřejmě není jen tak nějaké číslo nebo náhoda. Thomas Kamoy má letošňák, tedy season best 225 cm, takže chce se posunout o 1 cm. Tak Thomas Kamoy už je patřičně nažaven a připraven na první pokus na 2 metrech a 26 centimetrech. Připomínám, že je to zároveň pokus o nový rekord kladenského mítinku. A pomůžeme k překonání a posunutí rekordu mítinku.
Thomas Kamoy in what will be the last piece of action. Well, last segment at least, depending on whether he can clear. He ends up landing in an awkward position. This is his first attempt, of course, at 2:26. The Belgian high jumper already having won this competition. Everybody else that was left, 3 failures at 2:23. Brian Ratz of South Africa, Marek Banik of the Czech Republic, Eric Portillo of Mexico. So Kamoy will have a couple more goes if he decides to take them.
Slibované vyhlášení těch nejlepších, kteří se na mítinku Kladno hází a kladenské memoriály umístili na prvních 5 místech. Ceny předávají Helena Fibingerová, světová rekordmanka ve vrchokoulí v hale, patronka mítinku, mistryně světa z Helsinek 1983, 21 metr 5 cm posledním pokusem celé soutěže a 8násobná halová mistryně Evropy. Plus další bronzová medaile z olympiády v Montrealu a mohl bych pokračovat. Společně s ní bude ceny předávat pan inženýr Přemysl Mužík, náměstek primátora statutárního města Kladna. A jako první jsou tam, nepletuli se, připraveny sprinterky. Takže v závodě žen na 100 metrů skončila 5. Eva Kubíčková za 11:84. Ta nám tam chybí, ale je tam Nikola Bendová, která skončila na 4. místě za 11:80. A děkujeme, že tady vytrvala na ceremoniál. 3. místo, the third place, bronze medal, Irene Siracusa, Itálie, 11:39, 11:39. Místo druhé, the second place, Cecilia Tamayo Garza, Mexiko, 11:32, 11:32. A opakovaně tady na Kladně vítězí Rebecca Háze, the first place, Germany, 11:29. 11:29 pro vítěznou německou sprinterku, která má za sebou 2 finále na olympiádě ve štafetové sestavě a je také mistryní Evropy z Měchova 2022 ve štafetovém závodě na 4x100 metrů v německém kvartetu. Gratulujeme, congratulations. Jdeme na 100 mužů. Měli bychom tam mít 5 borců, ale vidím tam 3, takže začneme rovnou, jestli tady není Armin Temo, ale jo, někdo se tam objeví. Takže 5. Armin Temo, 10:69. 4. Dominik Ilovsky, 4th place, Hungary, 10:68. Dominik Ilovsky. Ale je tam Intemo, který převezme cenu za 5. místo. 3. pozice, the third place, bronze medal, Kayhan Ezer, Turecko, 10:52. Second place, Jose González, Second place, Jose González. Yes, Jose, it's your place. He's right. Thank you very much. Jose González tedy viděl single závod 10:51. A vítěz, winner is the first place, Ali Anwar Ali Al Balushi, Oman, 10.23, new personal best, 10.23, 10.23, v nepříznivých větrných podmínkách. Takže tohle je pětice nejlepších sprinterů dnešního klání na 100-metrové distanci. Ano, i ti dva další mají právo, aby se tam na té fotografii objevili.
Well, we've just been letting these presentations play out. You can see there Jose González
No a teď naše radost.
of the Dominican Republic, who won the 200 meters, one of those on screen. So I understand that Thomas Kamoy has completed his high jump competition and will jump no further after those failures at 2:26. So all that's left is these awards for some of the athletes. You can see Helena Fibingerova, the former shot put world champion there from 1983, giving out some flowers and prizes. So I think it's about time from our coverage to say goodbye, and hope you've enjoyed watching today. Keep an eye out for further streams which are publicised on the European Athletics website and social media channels. Thanks for watching and goodbye.
41 cm. A vítězkou se povedeným 6. pokusem stala už dáma, která je nominována jak na mistrovství Evropy do Říma od 7. do 12. června, tak na pařížskou olympiádu a její atletickou část. Petra Sičaková vyhrála výkonem 60 metrů 67 cm. Tady na Kladně v rámci meetingu Kladno hází a kladenské memoriály. Gratulace od Heleny Fibingerové i pana inženýra Přemysla Mužíka. Tak a na fotografii zase srazit na tom nejvyšším stupínku, pojďte dohromady. Tak, paráda. No a teď už s chutí a rád předám, než budeme zase vyhlašovat závěrečný blok, slovo Tomášovi, protože ten má před sebou dramatickou nebo jasně danou tečku výškařské soutěže mužů.
Ano, je to tak, po ceremoniálu už je rozhodnuto vlastně i o výsledku a konečném výkonu vítěze, protože Tomas Karmoa mezi tím tedy absolvoval svůj druhý pokus na 2 metrech a 26 cm, čímž se pokoušel o posun svého nejlepšího letošního výkonu a zároveň, a to především o rekord kladenského mítinku. To se nepovedlo ani po druhé a pak se rozhodl Tomas Karmoa ukončit soutěž, takže i závod výškařů už je za námi. Tomas Karmoa, belgický favorit, vyhrál výkonem 223 cm. Připomínám, že je to jediný centimetr za rekordem mítinku. Na dělené druhé pozici k naší radosti končí Marek Bahník a také Brian Ratz z Jižní Afriky. Oba dva zaznamenali jednak shodný zápis a zároveň výkon 220 cm. Na 6. místě skončil Josef Adámek skokem přes 216 cm. A pochopitelně nás čeká ještě vyhlašovací blok, tedy slavnostní ceremoniály dalších disciplín, které uzavíraly celý soutěžní program letošního 10. jubilejního ročníku mítinku Kladno hází a kladenské memoriály.
Dámy a pánové, je tady závěrečný blok, jak už Tomáš říkal, toho jubilejního 10. ročníku Kladno, hází a kladenské memoriály, při kterém si oceníme nejlepší koulaře dne. Je proto zcela na místě, že fenomenální postava světové koule, byť v něžném ženském provedení, Helena Fibingerová, bude předávat společně s panem inženýrem Přemyslem Mužíkem. Takže jdeme na kouli. Na 5. místě skončil domácí závodník kladeňák Tadeáš Procházka. 18 metrů 76 centimetrů. A bude tedy otvírat to skóre hned na pravé straně vedle toho bronzového stupínku. 4. místo, place 4. Šimon Mazur from Poland, Polsko, 19.35, 19.35. The bronze medal, 3rd place, 3. pozice, Carlos Tobalina, Španělsko, Spain, 19.83, 19.83. Místo 2. patří reprezentantu Egypta Mohamedu Khalifu Hamzovi. 2nd place Mohamed Khalifa Hamza, 20 metrů 28 centimetrů ze 6. série, 20.28. A vítězem se stal rumunský reprezentant, který má už z Brna svůj osobní výkon a kterým se nominoval do Tokia na olympiádu, Andrej Rades Toader. 21 metr 1 cm výkon sezóny 21.01. Andrej Rades Toader, winner of the competition in shot put men. Takže velká gratulace, congratulations boys. No a teď už Tomáši Klementovi předám žezlo mikrofonové, protože on má tu milou povinnost, ale současně čest vyhlásit zbývající disciplíny. Panečku, ale podívej se, Tome, Tobalina, to je tvářička, to je zajímavá postava. Proč ne? Ano. Takže Tomáš Klement a další blok vyhlášení.
Je to tak, dámy a pánové, no bude to určitý kontrast, protože následující vyhlašování uvidíme na stupních vítězů nejlepší čtvrtkařky. 400 meters women. Na 5. místě, the 5th place for representing Italy, Rebecca Borga. 4. místo obsadila česká reprezentantka, byla jen 0,3 vteřiny za bronzovou pozicí Lada Vondrová. Její výkon 51.78. A jdeme dál ke 3. místu. The bronze medal for representing Ireland, Sophie Becker. Jsme moc rádi, že na stupních vítězů bude také česká zástupkyně v nejlepším osobním výkonu této sezony 51.66. Končí druhá Lourdes Gloria Manuel. Takže gratulujeme i do tábora. Jedinou přemožitelkou nejlepší české čtvrtkařky se stala winner is representing South Africa Miranda Charlene Coetzee. .20, to je vítězný čas na 400 metrů žen. Congratulations, děkujeme a blahopřejeme. Pokračujeme dál, 400 metrů, u této disciplíny zůstáváme, ale samozřejmě jdeme ke kategorii mužů. 400 meters men. Na 5. místě skončil domácí reprezentant, dlouholetý reprezentant Michal Desenský. Michal Desenský zaběhl čas 46.98. The fourth place, 4. pozice, patří zahraniční hvězdičce a je to reprezentant Turky Ilyas Çanakçı. And go for a podium. The bronze medal is for representing Germany aus Deutschland Marvin Schlegel. A jeho čas 46:26. 46:26. Nejlepším českým závodníkem byl tak jako v kategorii žen na druhém místě v absolutním pořadí Matěj Krsek. Nejenže je to domácí reprezentant, ale také domácí doslova a do písmene, protože, jak tady už bylo řečeno, tak zná každý metr této dráhy, tohoto stadionu. Matěj Krsek skončil druhý v čase 45:91. A v novém osobním rekordu 45:48 se stává vítězem. The winner is representing United Kingdom Charlie Carwell. Charlie Carwell potřeboval osobák na to, aby porazil Matěje Krska. Děkujeme a gratulujeme. Thanks a lot and congratulations. Tohle je 5 nejlepších čtvrtkařů kladenského mítinku pro rok 2024. Pokračujeme dál. Ještě nás čekají 4 disciplíny a tou nejbližší je 1500 metrů mužů. 1500 meters men. Na 5. místě v této disciplíně the 5th place for representing Lithuania Simas Bertašius. Byl to opravdu náročný, mezinárodně nabitý závod. The 4th place for representing Spain, España, Anas Lagiti Chaudar. No a pokračujeme na pódium na stupně vítězů. Byl to hodně dramatický finish. Nakonec 3. místo obsadil the 3rd place for representing Algeria, Usama Cherat. Dvě desetinky mu chyběly ke druhé pozici a pouhé 3 desetiny na vítězství. No a jdeme ke stříbrné pozici. The silver medal for representing Morocco, Hafid Rizki. Hafid nakonec prohrál jen velmi těsně souboj o prvenství a vítězem kladenského mítinku pro rok 2024 na 1500 metrů se stává the winner is representing Turkey Mehmet Çelik. Vítězný čas má hodnotu 3:46:33. 3 minutes 46:33. Thanks for runners and congratulations. Děkujeme. No a jdeme dál, tentokrát zase zpátky ke sprintům. 200 metrů žen, 200 meters women. Tady převažují české vlaječky v tom konečném pořadí. Na 5. místě skončila Tereza Lamačová. Časem 24:16 si vylepšila letošní nejlepší výkon. No a na 4. pozici, tedy společně s ní 24:16, šlo jen o tisíciny, skončila Terezie Táborská. Další dvě pozice, tedy třetí a druhou, obsadili české sprinterky. Na bronzové příčce končí výkonem 23,89 Barbora Šplechtnová. Barbora startovala ve druhém běhu a ten vyhrála. No a souboj o konečné prvenství v absolutním pořadí se odehrál v prvním běhu. Na absolutní druhé pozici skončila další česká reprezentantka Nikola Bendová. Výkon Nikoly má hodnotu 23,75. Celkovou vítězkou závodu na 200 metrů the winner is representing Italy, Italia, Irene Siragusa. Zkušená italská sprinterka prolétla půl okruhu za 23,3 vteřiny. Siragusa, Bendová, Šplechtnová, Táborská, Lamačová. Gratulujeme. Děkujeme. Grazie molto bene. No a jdeme dál na sprintery na 200 metrů mužů. Tady registrujeme také 4 vlečky od 2. do 5. místa, ale pochopitelně jedeme v opačném pořadí. Na 5. místě končí Daniel Švec. To je reprezentant žatecké atletiky. Postupujeme ke 4. příčce. Připomínám, že všichni se dostali po 23 sekund, 22,73. To je výkon 4. muže a tím je Patrik Hausner. Patrik je ještě junior, samozřejmě domácí kladenský závodník. No a Atletik klub Tepo Kladno reprezentuje také 3. v pořadí a tím je Petr Hudeček. Petr Hudeček si zaběhl nejrychlejší, nejlepší 200 sezony 22,46. Na 2. místě na 200 skončil nejrychlejší z Čechů napříč oběma závody nebo běhy výkonem 21,62 Lukáš Soukal. A jeho čas tedy 21,62. Jasným šampionem o celou sekundu se stává the winner is representing Dominican Republic José González. José nás nejprve pobavil na poloviční trati na 100